lecture for AFAR. So basically, class, let's have our pre-week lecture for AFAR. So basically, we recall natin yung mga important concepts, iisa-isa natin per topic, and then ang gagawin ko class, sa left side of the board, isa-summarize ko yung mga key points to remember. And then sa other side naman, dito tayo magko-compute. Okay? Are you ready? Sige, so let's go to partnership. Start tayo with partnership formation. Information, important dito is the valuation of partners' contributions. Pag kinontribute ni partners cash, walang problema, i-record natin at face value. Pag ang kinontribute ni partners in non-cash asset, meron tayong hierarchy. Number 1, agreed value. Number 2, fair market value. And number 3, carrying value. If the problem is silent, assume natin that agreed value is equal to the fair market value. Okay? Now, pwede rin class na yung partnership mag-assume ng liabilities. So let's say, yung partner nag-contribute na equipment and then may related liability na in-assume ng partnership. Ang mangyayari doon, yung asset na kinontribute, less liabilities na in-assume, yun yung magiging capital credited to the partner. Alright? Now, very important, if the problem is silent, kung how much yung contribution of the partners, yun yung credited capital nila. Okay? I-equal mo lang sa P&L ratio pag explicitly sinabi sa problem. Otherwise, kung how much yung kinontribute ng partners, yun yung credited capital nila. Alright? Now, may mga instances wherein yung contribution is not equal to the credited capital. Okay? In that case, meron tayong 3 ways to account for the difference. Pwedeng additional contribution from the partners, pwede rin na bonus method, or cash settlement among the partners. Okay, tingnan natin class kung ano yung effect dun sa partnership's capital. Okay, pag additional contribution, magko-contribute ng additional assets to the partnership, therefore tataas yung capital. Kapag bonus method, meron ka lang transfer of capital, walang effect yan sa total capital of the partnership. While cash settlement naman, it's a private transaction. Okay? Actually, hindi yan nire-record sa books ng partnership. That's why wala siyang effect dun sa capital of the partnership. Okay? So yun yung mga kailangan nyo tandaan for partnership formation. Let's go to our handouts. Let's go to number 1. Which of the following statements concerning the formation of a partnership business is correct? Letter A, PFRS allows recognition of goodwill. False. Okay? Bonus method na tayo, wala ng goodwill method. Okay? Letter B, the juridical personality of the partnership arises from the issuance of certificate of registration. Actually, more of pang-corporation yan. Sa partnership, once mag-agree yung partners, meron na sila agad, separate entity na agad sila. Letter C, the parties may become partners only upon contribution of money or property but not of industry. False. Pwede ring industry or service. Sa tawag natin doon, industrial partner. Answer dito class is dog. The capital to be credited to each partner upon formation may not be the amount actually contributed. Ito. Pwedeng hindi yan equal. Merong 3 ways to account for the difference. Dog for number 1. Number 2, the asset contributions of partners to a partnership are initially measured at fair value, letter A. Number 3, under the bonus method, any increase or decrease in the capital credit of a partner is, let's go to letter A, deducted from or added to the capital credits of the other partner. So meron ka ng transfer of capital, walang effect dun sa capital of the total capital of the partnership. Okay? Letter A for number 3. Let's go to number 4. Mr. X and Mr. Y agreed to form a partnership. The fair values of the partners' net contribution vary. However, the partners agreed to have equal capital credits. Cash settlement shall be made between them for the difference. Which of the following statements is correct? Okay, pag cash settlement, private transaction yan. Okay, so hindi yan i-record in the books of the partnership. That's why answer dito is letter C. The cash settlement between the partners will not be recorded in the partnership books. For number 4, it's letter C. Okay, so let's go to problem solving. Let's go to number 5. Basahin mo natin yung given. On July 1, 2025, X and Y decided to form a partnership. Their balance sheets on this date. Okay, so pag binigyan ka ng balance sheet, assume na naka-book value yan. Ang goal natin, convert natin yung book value into fair market value. Okay? So meron tayong assets dito, meron tayong liabilities and capital, and we know for partnership, tinurusan nyo, capital na lang gagamitin natin sa analysis natin. Alright? So, in this case, si partner X, meron siyang capital balance na 57,000, yung unadjusted. Si partner Y naman, meron siyang 49,500. Okay, so may mga adjustments tayo. The partners agreed that the machinery and equipment of X is under-depreciated by 1.5. Pag under-depreciated, kulang yung depreciation, therefore, overstated yung assets, overstated yung capital. So, kailangan natin i-deduct yan. Minus 1.5 for X, for Y naman, minus 4.5. So, again, ang goal natin is to convert the book value, yung unadjusted balance, into fair market value. Allowance for doubtful accounts, 12,000 for X, 4.5 for Y. ADA is a contra-asset account, therefore, bababa yung asset, bababa yung capital. So, minus 12,000 for X, for Y naman, minus 4,500. Let's compute the adjusted capital of the partners, 57,000. Minus 1.5, minus 12,000, you get 43,500 for partner X. This is number 5. Okay, for partner Y naman, 49,500. Minus 4.5, minus 4.5. Answer natin is 40,500. Question number 5, answer is letter A, 43,500 and 40,500. 500. Okay, let's go to number 6. Assume that the partnership agreement provides for P&L ratio 60-40 and that the new capital of the partnership is to be agreed on the P&L ratio based on the adjusted capital of Y. How much additional cash must be invested by X in order to bring the partner's capital balances proportionate to the P&L ratio? Ganito gagawin ko dyan, class, for number 6. Ang basis daw si partner Y. Na-compute natin, yung adjusted capital niya is 40,500. And then, napag-agreehan nila na 60-40. Okay? Wherein si X may 60%, P&L, si Y naman 40%. Alright? Now, kung 40% si Y, therefore, if i-divide ko to sa 40%, 40,500 divided by 0.4, 101,250. Tama ba, class? Ito yung 100%. Yun yung total capital, tama? And then si X, meron siyang 60%. Multiply ko by 60%. Times 0.6. Ito dapat yung kinontribute ni X, 60,750. Pero so far, 43.5 pa lang yung contribute niya. Therefore, kailangan mag-contribute ni X additional 17,250. Answer natin is letter C. Okay, so take note, class, for number 5, kung how much yung invest nila, kinontribute nila, yun yung agreed capital nila or credited capital. Okay? Now, for number 6, in-equal natin sa P&L kasi explicitly mentioned. Okay? Yun lang yung instance na i-equal natin sa P&L. And in this case, for number 6, sinabi na ang basis natin is partner Y. Tama? If walang sinabi sa problem kung sino yung basis, iti-test natin pareho and then identify natin kung sino yung kulang yung contribution. Alright? So, yan. For number 6, answer is letter C, 17,250. Okay, let's go to the second stage in the life of the partnership, operation. For operation, basically, ito yung net income or loss allocation to the partners. And very important dito, class, is follow natin kung ano yung partnership agreement. Kasi free naman sila kung paano i-allocate yung income, so we just follow their agreement. Okay? Now, ito yung ways kung paano mag-allocate ng income. Salaries, interest, and bonus. Now, ito yung mga titignan nyo lagi. For salaries, check mo muna sa problem kung monthly or annual. Okay? And i-check mo kung kailan nag-start yung partnership. Okay? Yun yung common trick dyan. For example, nag-start March 1. Siyempre, 10 months lang yan pag monthly and annual. Okay? Pag annual, po-rate mo, 10/12. So, ingat sa date kung kailan nag-start yung partnership. For interest naman, class, titignan mo lang kung ano yung basis. Well, maraming pwedeng basis yan. Pwedeng original capital, beginning, ending, average, and then pag average, pwedeng simple average or weighted average. Okay? Pero pag sabi sa problem, average, and then silent, ang gagamitin mo is weighted average. Okay? Ayan, so that's for interest. So bonus naman, class, well, sinasabi naman sa problem kung paano kino-compute yung bonus. And nakalagay dyan minsan, it's before or after. Okay? For example, bonus before salaries and interest. Bonus after salaries and interest. Okay? So sabi ko dati, pag sinabing after, ima-minus natin. Naman, ma-minus mo. Pag sinabing before, wala kang gagawin. Alright? So again, ang technique natin sa bonus computation, sulat mo muna yung equation. Okay, again, pag after, minus, pag before, wala kang gagawin. Pag sulat mo na equation, saka mo i-plug in yung mga amounts. Okay, and then solve for the bonus. Okay, isa pang key point sa bonus is pag may loss yung partners, yung partnership, syempre, wala kang bonus to the partners. Okay? Alright, so next naman, yung rules, additional rules sa civil code. If ang pinag-agrihan lang ng partners, yung paano i-allocate yung profit, and then let's say nagkaroon ng loss, i-allocate mo yung loss in the same way kung paano mo i-allocate yung profits. Okay? Now, if walang agreement, yung partners as to allocation of profit, ang susundin natin dito is their original capital contributions. Okay? Original capital contributions. Alright? So, yun yung mga kailangan yung tandaan, class. And also, yung salaries and interest na yan, salaries, interest, and bonuses, hindi yan expenses of the partnership. Ways lang yan kung paano mag-allocate ng income to the partners. Okay? Let's go to our handouts. Number 7. How should the partners in a business partnership share in the profits or losses of the partnership? Again, follow natin yung partnership agreement. Answer natin, class, is letter C for number 7, in accordance with the partnership agreement. Number 8, according to the civil code, if only the share of each partner in the profits has been agreed upon, the share of each in the losses shall be. Pag profits na yung pinag-usapan, same way kung paano mo allocate yung losses. Letter dog, the same as the sharing in profits. Let's go to number 9. According to the Philippine Civil Code, in the absence of stipulation, the sharing of profits or losses, pag wala silang pinag-agrihan as to the sharing, basis natin is the original capital contributions. Dog for number 9, in proportion to what the partners may have contributed, but the industrial partner shall not be liable for the losses. Letter D for number 9. Okay, let's go to problem solving. So, erase ko muna. And for problem solving, pag net income allocation, so we know, ang technique lang dito, class, is gagamit tayo ng table. Okay? Yun lang, pag net income allocation. So, yeah, so let's do that for the next 4 items. X, Y, and Z form a partnership. So, gagawin ko, X, Y, and then Z. And then, maglalagay tayo ng total column. Don't forget the total kasi pang-check natin yan. Okay? With investments, 100, 150, and 200. For division of income, they agreed interest of 10%, the beginning capital, take note, beginning of each year, annual compensation, and then nakalagay naman dyan class na nag-start yung partnership January 1, 2025. So wala tayong issue, okay? Pag middle of the year, yun, syempre magpo-prorate pa tayo pag ganun. Sharing the remainder, income or loss in the ratio of 20, 40, 40. So lagay mo yung P&L ratio dito. 20% for X, 40% for Y, and 40% for Z. Okay, so follow lang natin yung agreement nila. Net income for 2025 is 150,000. So first is interest muna. Sabi dyan, 10% of the beginning. Beginning capital of X is 100 times 10%, that's 10,000. For Y, 150 times 10%, 15. For Z, 200 times 10%, 20,000. Add natin, 20 plus 15, 35 plus 10, 45,000. Okay, let's go to salaries. Ang may salaries dito, si partner Y, tama? So 10,000 daw, siya lang. Total is 10,000. Let's compute the remainder. Okay, so dito tayo sa total. Net income for 2025 is 150,000. So sige class, work back natin. 150,000 minus 45,000 minus 10,000. The remainder is 95,000. And then P&L times 20% for X, 19,000. For Y naman, 40%. So 95,000 times 0.4, 38,000 for Y, and then 38,000 for Z. Okay, so add natin 10,000 plus 19, 29,000. For partner Y, 15 plus 10 plus 38, okay, 63,000. And then for partner Z, 20,000 plus 38, 58,000. Let's go to question number 10. What was Y's share of income in 2025? 63,000. Answer letter A. Letter A. Question 11. What was Z's capital balance at the end of 2025? Okay, so compute natin yung capital balance nila. Beginning capital, January 1, 2025. Si X nag-contribution ng 100. Si Y, 150. Si Z naman, 200. Okay, take note class. Dun sa last sentence, nakalagay, each partner withdrew 1,000 for personal use every month. So 1,000 per month times 12, that's 12,000. So we know yung drawings na yan, at the end of each year, kinuklose natin sa capital account. Therefore, yung drawings, minus natin yan sa capital. 12,000 for each partner. Okay. Sige, so compute natin class yung adjusted capital balance as of December 31. Beginning, 29,000. 12,000, 100,000 pala. Minus 12. And then, add natin yung allocated na income, 29. For partner X, 117,000. Okay? For partner Y, 63,000 plus 150 minus 12, you have 201,000. And then for partner Z, 58,000 plus 200 minus 12, you get 246,000. And then for number 11, what was Z's capital balance? So si Z, 246,000, letter dog. Okay? Let's go to 2026. Allocate natin yung income. For 2026, it's 180,000 income. Interest muna. Interest is 10% of the beginning. 117,000 times 10%, 11,700. 201,000 times 10%, 20,100. 246,000 times 10%, 24,600. Add natin yan, 11,700 plus 20,100 plus 24,600. Total class is 56,400. After interest, doon tayo sa salaries. May salaries dito, si Y lang, so 10,000. 10,000. And then the remainder, how much yung income for 2026? That is 180,000. Let's compute the remainder. 180,000 minus 56,400 minus 10,000. 113,600. Allocate natin using their P&L ratio. 20% for X, 22,720. 40% for Y, 113,600 times 40%. 45,440. 45,440. Okay. 11,700 plus 22,720. For partner X, 34,420. For partner Y, 20,100 plus 10,000 plus 45,440. 45,440. 75,540. And then for partner Z, 24,600 plus 45,440. 70,040. Okay, add nga natin class para pan-check din natin yung total column na yan. Dapat yung sum tatlo na yan, 180,000 plus 75,540 plus 34,420. Okay, so 180,000. Pag inad mo yung tatlo, 180,000. Ibig sabihin, tama yung allocation natin. Okay, number 12, what was X's share of income? So si X yung tanong, 34,420, letter A. And number 13, capital balance of Y. So si Y lang yung tinatanong dito, pwede tayo mag-T account. Beginning balance si Y is 201,000. And then allocated kay Y, 75,540. And then yung drawings ni Y, 12,000. Ending capital balance is 201,000 plus 75,540 minus 12,000. Answer natin class is 264,540. 264,540. Answer for number 13 is letter C. Letter C for number 13. Okay. So let's go to the third stage in the life of the partnership, dissolution. Pag sabing dissolution, meron change in interest. or capital of the partners. And pwede siyang through admission or withdrawal. Okay, so pag admission, may dalawang klase pa yung class. Pwedeng purchase of interest or investment in partnership. Okay, pag purchase of interest, private transaction yan. Pag investment in partnership, well, nag-invest ng assets sa partnership. So tignan natin class kung ano yung effect sa partnership capital. Purchase of interest, since private transaction, wala yan. Meron lang tayong transfer of capital. Pag investment in partnership, since tataas yung asset in partnership, tataas yung capital. Okay, pag withdrawal, dalawang klase din yung class. Purchase of interest or settlement by partnership. Again, pag purchase of interest, wala siyang effect sa capital of the partnership. Pag settlement by partnership, yung partnership yung nagbayad, okay, dun sa retiring partner or withdrawing partner. Therefore, bababa yung asset ni partnership, bababa yung capital. Okay. Now, very important. Before ka mag-admit, before ka mag-withdraw, always update the capital balances. Always yan ha. Huwag niyo makakalimutan. Minsan kasi sa problem, merong i-mention na net income na hindi pa na-allocate. So, allocate mo muna. O kaya naman, may revaluation. Okay, yung assets or liabilities, i-revalue mo muna. Okay, update the capital balances first before you admit, before you withdraw. Okay, so yung mga kailangan mo tandaan for partnership dissolution. Sige, so let's go to our handouts. Let's continue. Number 14. Which of the following statements pertain to partnership dissolution? Okay, so ano yung definition of dissolution? Let's go to letter boy. It refers to the change in the relation of the partners. Okay, caused by any partner ceasing to be associated in the carrying of the partnership. Okay, so for B, actually, more of withdrawal yan kasi ceasing to be associated. So again, pag dissolution, mayroon change in interest, pwede kang admission, pwede kang withdrawal. Boy for number 14. 15. Which of the following will result to the dissolution of a partnership? Okay. A, liquidation. B, admission. C, retirement. D, both B and C. Actually, best answer dito is dog, both B and C. Kasi technically, iba yung liquidation sa dissolution. Okay? So dog is sagot natin, both B and C. Number 16, the admission of a new partner effected through purchase of interest from an existing partner is, okay, punta tayo dun sa boy, recorded in the partnership books as transfer within equity. Kaya class, wala tayong effect sa capital. Kasi pag ganun, pag purchase of interest, magta-transfer lang tayo ng capital. Okay, total capital, walang effect yan. Boy. After the admission of a new partner, the total partnership capital is increased by the fair value of a new partner's contributions. The admission was accounted for as investment in partnership. Kaya may increase in capital. Dog for number 17. If a partner who retired from the partnership receives less than the capital balance before retirement, which also resulted to a decrease in capital of remaining partners, which is correct. So lahat nag-decrease. Okay? So yung malis na partner, yung nag-withdraw, and yung remaining partners nag-decrease din. So most likely, meron kang impairment loss. Okay? Boy yung sagot dyan. Loss is recognized before the retirement. So again, update natin yung capital balances. So pag allocate mo yung net income, in this case, yung revaluation, pababa. Okay? Revaluation loss or impairment loss naman. Kaya nag-decrease yung capital balances of the partners. For number 18, boy. Alright, so let's go to our problem solving. Let's go to 19 and 20. Okay, partnership has the following capital balances. Cash, other assets, liabilities, WXY. Okay, so meron tayong 3 partners, WXY, 37,000, 65,000, and 48. If the assets are fairly valued on this balance sheet and the partnership wishes to admit Z as a new 1/6 interest partner without recording bonus, Z should contribute cash or other assets of, so ganito gagawin ko sa 19. Okay, add ko muna si WXY. How much class yung capital nila? Add natin ha. 37,000 plus 65 plus 48, did you get 150,000? Okay, so 150,000. Ngayon, si Z papasok as partner. May 1/6 daw siya na interest. So kung 1/6 si Z, 5/6 naman si WXY. Does that make sense? Ngayon, kung 5/6 yan, if you go gross up natin, multiply natin by 6/5. Times 6/5, you get 180,000. Tama ba kasi ito yung total capital of the partnership? Or yan yung 100% kasi grinos up natin. Ngayon, si Z, 1/6 daw. So multiply natin by 1/6. Divide by 6, 30,000. Answer natin for number 19 is dog, 30,000. Number 20. If the assets on the initial balance sheet are fairly valued, W and X give their consent, and Z pays Y 51,000. For interest, the revised capital balances, so dito class na nangyari, nagkaroon ng purchase of interest. Okay? So again, may transfer of capital lang tayo. In that case, how much na yung balances sila? Tingnan natin, W, X, Y, Z. Si W, still 37,000. Si X, still 65. Ngayon, binili ni Z si Y. Wala nang capital balance si Y. Si Z naman, regardless kung magkano yung binayad niya, yung 51,000, hindi natin i-record sa books yan. Tama? May transfer of capital lang tayo. So si Y, no, may 48,000, mapupunta na yan kay Z. Ayun. 37, 65, and then 48. Answer natin for number 20 is dog. Okay. Doon naman tayo sa 21, 22, and 23. Withdrawal naman or retirement of the partners. Okay, let's go to the given. The capital balances of the partners in ABC partnership. It is to class, ha? On June 30, before any necessary adjustments are as follows. So, binigyan tayo ng capital balances. The partnership reported profit of 3.6 million for 6 months. So again, ano sabi ko kanina? Update muna natin. Kapag may binigay na income na ganyan or profit, assume mo na hindi pa na-allocate yan. So update muna natin. Partners A, B, and C. Okay? Lagay natin yung P&L nila. 20%, 30% for B, and then 50% for C. Unadjusted, 600, 1 million. So, nire-write ko lang, 400,000 for C. Okay, this is 2 million. Now, allocate natin yung profit. 3.6 million, tama? 3.6 million times 20%. So for A, plus mo 720,000. For B naman, 3.6 million times 30%, 1,080,000. For partner C, 2 million times 50%, 3.6 million times 50%, so 1.8 million. Okay, let's compute their adjusted capital balances. 600 plus 720, 1,320,000. This one naman is 2,080,000 and this one is 2.2 million for partner C. Okay, so meron tayong adjusted capital balances. Pwede na mag-withdraw. On July 1, C withdraws from the partnership when he was bought out by his co-partners for 2,480,000. How much is the capital balance of A immediately after withdrawal of C? Yung number 21 class, purchase of interest yan. Okay, meron lang tayong transfer of capital. Ganito gagawin ko dyan. For number 21, tingnan natin ha. So si A, okay, so si A, meron, tingnan natin. So yung capital ni C is 2.2 million. Alright? Ngayon, binili siya ng remaining partners, si A and B. Okay? Now, yung P&L ni A and B, 20-30. Okay? So, ang gagawin ko dyan, para kay A, 20 over 50. Para kay B naman, 30 over 50. Okay? So, 2.2 million times 2 over 5, 880,000. For partner B, 2.2 million times 3 over 5, 1,320,000. Okay, ang tanong sa ating class is si partner A, meron siyang 1,320,000 na beginning, and then yung nakuha niya from partner C, kasi transfer capital lang yan. So 1,320 plus 880, answer natin dito class is 2.2 million, letter dog. Yun. Okay. Number 22, C retires on July 1. It was agreed that C shall receive 2,480,000 cash from the partnership. Ano yan? Settlement by partnership. Pag ganyang class, mas madali kung mag-journal entry tayo. Okay? Babayaran si C. Debit C capital. 2.2 million. Okay? 2.2. And then, babayaran natin siya. Credit cash. How much daw? 2,480. Obviously, meron tayong bonus to C. Okay? Kasi mas malaki na receive niya than the capital. So, difference yan is 280,000. I-charge natin yan kay old partners A and B. Okay? 280,000 times 2 over 5. For A, meron siyang debit 112. 280,000 times 3 over 5. Si B naman, 168,000. Okay, ano ba yung tanong sa atin? How much daw yung capital ni B? 2,080,000 minus 168. Tingnan natin. 2,080,000 minus 168. Answer natin, letter boy, 1,912,000. So, ginawa ko lang, for partner B, 2,080,000 minus yung debit niya dito, 168,000. I got here, letter boy, 1,912,000. Okay? Double check natin. Okay, boy. Number 23. C retires on July 1. It was agreed that C shall receive cash of 2 million and equipment with carrying amount of 400 and fair value of 1.2 as settlement of his interest. The entry in the partnership's books. O ganito gagawin natin class. Again, lagi natin i-update. In this case, meron kang revaluation kasi yung book value, 400, fair value, 1.2 million. Increase na 800,000. Ngayon, isasama mo yung nag-retire na partner dun sa pag-update mo ng balances. Okay? So, gawin natin, merong 800,000 increase. So, 800,000 times 20% for A, 160,000. So, plus 160. Kay B naman, 800,000 times ilang percent? 30%, 240,000. And then for partner C, 800,000 times 50% plus 400,000. Okay, let's compute their adjusted capital balances. 1,320 plus 160, 1,480,000. 2,080,000 plus 240, you get 2,320,000 for B. Okay, and then, tama ba? So 2,080,000. Okay, so 2,080,000 plus 240,000. Okay. For C naman, 2.2 million plus 400, 2.6 million. Okay, nakita natin. And then, pwede na mag-retire si C. Debit C capital. 2.6 million. Okay, ano yung binigay sa kanya? Credit cash na 2 million. And then, credit equipment. Tama? Ngayon, yung equipment na i-credit natin, syempre at fair value na kasi nag-update na tayo eh. So, 1.2 million. Okay, so yung credit natin, 3.2, 2.6 yung debit. So meron tayong 600,000 na i-charge to partners A and B. 600,000 times for A, 2 over 5, 240. 600,000 times 3 over 5, 360,000 for partner B. Okay, so tingnan natin class. The journal entry includes, tingnan natin yung choices. A debit to C's capital for 400. Nope. B, a debit to C's capital for 2.2. Hindi, 2.6 dapat. Letter C, a debit to A's capital for 240. Yun tama. Letter C yung sagot natin. D, the transaction is not recorded. Mali. For number 23, C. Okay. Let's go to the last stage in the life of a partnership. Partnership liquidation. Okay, so pag liquidation, mag-stop na yung operations ng partnership natin. And we have 3 steps during the liquidation or the liquidation process. Step number 1, sell all non-cash assets. Okay, at net realizable value. Number 2, bayaran natin yung creditors, pay creditors. And number 3, we have distribute remaining cash to the partners, if any. Distribute remaining cash. Okay. Now, dalawang klase yung liquidation natin class. Meron tayong tinatawag na lump sum liquidation. Ibig sabihin, one time, gagawa natin yung liquidation process or installment liquidation. Okay? Installment liquidation. Now, pag installment liquidation, meron tayong dalawang ginagawa dyan class. Meron tayong tinatawag na schedule of safe payments. SP na lang, schedule of safe payments. And then, meron din tayong cash distribution plan or cash distribution program. Okay? Ano yung important sa safe payment schedule or schedule of safe payments? Siyempre, yung maximum possible loss natin. Okay? Kasi assume natin yung worst case scenario, which is hindi natin mabibenta yung remaining book value of non-cash assets. Ano pa yung kasama sa maximum possible loss natin? Liquidation expenses. What else? Estimated liabilities. Ano pa? Cash withheld. Ayan. So again, pag installment liquidation, determine natin kung how much yung safely pwedeng ibayad sa mga or i-distribute sa partners by considering the maximum possible loss. Okay, cash distribution program. Well, basically, nirarank natin yung tinatawag natin na vulnerability ranking. Okay. Ano nga ba yung procedure nito, class? Well, ang gagawin natin, kunin muna natin yung capital of the partners. Tama? I-offset na natin yung mga loans to and from. Pwede mo na offset agad yun. And then, i-divide natin sa P&L ratio nila. Okay? Divide mo sa P&L ratio, and then from there, offset, mako-compute natin yung vulnerability ranking. Okay? Now, important din dito, class, during liquidation, kung yung partner is solvent or insolvent. Kapag solvent, ibig sabihin, class, yung personal assets of the partners greater than the personal liabilities. Kaya pa mag-invest additional sa partnership. Pag insolvent naman, it's the other way around. Yung partner's personal assets, mas mababa naman sa personal liabilities. Okay? Pag insolvent, yung may negative balance sa partner, i-absorb siya ng other partners. Okay? Absorb siya. Now, if the problem is silent, assume mo, insolvent yung partners. Okay? Remember that. Sige, so let's answer our handouts for liquidation. Let's go to number 24. It refers to the process of converting non-cash assets of the partnership and distributing the total cash to the creditors. Creditors muna, yun yung priority. And then, if meron pang remainder, to the partners. Ang tawag natin dyan, class, liquidation. For number 24, it's letter C, liquidation. Okay. Let's go to number 25. The following is a priority sequence in which liquidation proceeds will be distributed to the partnership. Punta tayo sa boy. Siyempre, partnership liabilities muna, creditors muna babayaran natin. After that, partnership loans, mga loans to and from, okay? And then partnership's capital balances. If meron pang excess cash, ibalik mo sa partners as to their capital balances. Boy for number 25. 26, X and Y are partners of XY company which is undergoing liquidation. After XY company's assets were realized and its liability settled, excess capital account has a negative balance. Which of the following statement is correct? Pag negative balance, okay, depende kung solvent or insolvent. Okay? Pag solvent, mag-invest pa. Pag insolvent, absorb ng ibang partners. A, Y shall absorb excess capital deficiency if X is solvent. Mali, pag insolvent. Boy, X shall make an additional contribution if X is insolvent. Mali naman yun, dapat solvent. C, X and Y shall make pro rata contributions to eliminate excess capital deficiency. Wrong. Dog yung sagot natin. Y shall absorb excess capital deficiency if X is insolvent. For number 26, dog. Okay. Let's go to number 27, 28, 29. Let's read the given. On December 31, 2025, the statement of financial position of ABC partnership, P&L ratio 6:1:3, partners ABC. So again, pag partnership liquidation, ganun pa rin. Capital balances lang i-analyze natin. So meron tayong 3 partners, A, B, and C. Lagay natin yung P&L nila, 60%, 10%, and 40%. Okay. So again, class, yung binigay sa ating balance sheet dito, merong mga receivables, payables, mga loans to and from, pwede natin i-offset agad yan, okay? Kay A, 700,000, nakita mo yung receivable from A, So minus natin yan. Okay? 500 kasi utang ni A yan sa partnership. So kailangan i-minus yan. 200,000. Si B naman, 650 na negative, pero merong payable to B na 1 million. So ang net nun is 350 na positive. 350,000. For partner C, 350,000, may payable to C 100, 450,000. Okay? So ito yung capital balances of the partners or yun yung interest of the partners. On January 1, 2026, the partners decided to liquidate the partnership. All partners are legally declared to be insolvent. The other non-cash assets were sold for 1.5. Liquidation expenses, 100,000 were incurred. Okay, so for this one, it is an example of lump sum liquidation. Okay, tingnan natin, how much daw yung cash na may receive ng partners? Alright, so binenta for 1.5, yung book value, nakita mo yung 2 million na book value. Yes, so meron tayong loss na 500,000. And then nagbayad ng liquidation expenses ng 100,000. So total na i-allocate natin is 600. Loss yan sa expenses, therefore negative yan. Tama? 600,000 times 60%, 360,000. 600,000 times 10%, 60,000. 600,000 times 40%, 600,000 times 40, 30% lang pala to. Okay, this is 180,000. Okay, let's compute their capital balances. Si A, negative, 160. Si B naman, 350 minus 60, meron siyang 290. Si C naman, 450 minus 180, ilan yan? 450 minus 180, 270,000. Sabi sa problem, insolvent daw. So si A, i-absorb siya ng B and C using their P&L ratio. Dalawa na lang, 10 is to 30. Therefore, 160,000 times 10 over 40, 40,000 for partner B. Okay, 160,000 times 30 over 40, 120,000 naman for partner C. Okay, so let's compute their adjusted capital balances. For B, meron siya 250. For C naman, meron siyang 150,000. Let's answer the question. 27. How much cash was received by A? Wala. 0. Okay, kasi nag-negative balance siya. For 27 is dog. How much cash was received by B? Si B naman, 250,000 letter A. For number 29, for C naman, it's 150,000 letter B or boy. Okay, so ganun siya kasimple. Nilagay lang natin yung capital balances of the partners. In-offset natin sa loans to and from. We allocate the losses and the mga expenses. And then, since insolvent, absorb lahat. Yung magne-negative, wala siyang marireceive. Yung positive, kung ano how much yung amount nila, yun yung marireceive nila na cash. Okay, let's answer additional questions 30 and 31. Tignan class. Partners X and Y have decided to liquidate their business. The following information is available. Meron kang assets, meron kang liabilities and capital. So si X and Y, meron silang 120 and 80,000. Okay, so number 30, lagay ko na yan. So si X and si Y, 120,000 for X. For Y, it's 80. Wala naman loans to and from, so yan na yan. And then P&L ratio nila, 3 is to 2. Okay. During the first month of liquidation, half of the inventory is sold for 60. And 60,000 the accounts payable is paid. During the second month, the rest of the inventory is sold and the remaining accounts payable are paid. Okay, so 2 months. So gagawin ko dito, class. Okay, so computing ko yung loss. Tama ba yung proceeds natin, 60,000, and then half daw, tama? Yung inventory natin, 200,000 yung total, yung half niyan is 100. Therefore, meron tayong loss na 40,000. Ito yung actual loss. Alright? So, may actual loss ka na 40, allocate natin yan. 40,000 times 3 over 5. You have 24,000 for X and 16,000 for Y. Okay, and don't forget, since 2 months yan, installment liquidation, okay? Meron tayong concept ng maximum possible loss. Wala namang binigay na liquidation expenses or estimated liabilities or cash withheld. Kung meron, sasama natin yan. In this case, yung maximum possible loss natin is the remaining value of the inventory. Non-cash asset lang, hindi mo sasama yung cash. So yung 100 na benta mo na, yung remaining book value is 100. Okay, yun yung maximum possible loss natin. 100,000 times 3 over 5, you have 60. And you have 40,000. Kasi kailangan maging conservative tayo. Worst case scenario. 120 minus 24 minus 60, 36,000 for X. For Y naman, 80 minus 16 minus 40, 24,000. Ito yung pwedeng i-distribute to the 2 partners. Okay, so tanong sa atin dito, how much cash will be distributed to X? 36,000 letter dog. And then 31, assume instead that the remaining inventory was sold for 10,000. So ito yung remaining, tama? Yung 100, na ibenta daw siya for 10. So ibig sabihin, may loss tayo na 90,000. What payments will be made to X and Y at the end of the month? So ganito gagawin ko dyan. So si X, and then si Y, tama? Okay, update muna natin yung capital balances nila. Tama ba, class? Meron siyang 120 and 80, and then merong actual loss, tapos may distribution. Ito hindi ko i-consider kasi hypothetical lang naman yan eh. Okay, para ma-compute natin yung adjusted balance nila, 120, and then yung actual loss na 24, minus yung didistribute na 36. Therefore, si X meron siyang 60,000. Okay, so again, hypothetical lang yung maximum possible loss. Alright? And then kay Y naman, 80,000 beginning, minus yung actual loss na 16, minus yung distribution na 24, meron siyang 40,000. Okay, yung remaining daw, nabenta mo ng 10,000. Okay, so it means meron kang loss na 90. Allocate natin yung loss na 90,000 to partners X and Y. 90,000 times P&L nila, 3:2, times 3 over 5, 54,000. 90,000 times 2 over 5, you have 36,000. Okay, 60 minus 54, we have 6,000 for partner X. 40 minus 36, we have 4,000 for partner Y. Answer natin, dog, 6,000 and 4,000 for number 30. Okay, that's for partnership. Class, let's go to corporate liquidation. Okay, first, important point here is the statement of affairs. Okay, so meron tayong, actually, this is the balance sheet equivalent. So we have assets, liabilities, and equity. For assets, may measure natin siya at net realizable value or NRV kasi syempre, liquidation na tayo. We have three types of assets. Number one, assets pledged to fully secured creditors. So if the NRV of the assets greater than the liabilities. Okay? Now, second is assets pledged to partially secured creditors or if the NRV is less than the liabilities, and we have what you call free assets. So these are assets na hindi nakasecure to any type of liability. Now, let's go to the liabilities. So we have four types. Fully secured. Okay, so dito siya actually. Whenever the assets, NRV of the assets greater than the liabilities, fully secured yan. Partially secured, the NRV of the assets is less than the liabilities. Yung unsecured with priority, ito yung mga legally required tayo to pay. For example, taxes, salaries, liquidation expenses, mga trustees expenses, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then yung liabilities without priority, walang any assets na naka-pledge sa kanila. Now, for equity naman class, usually meron tayong deficit or negative equity. And in corporate liquidation, very important, yung two steps na ipa-follow natin. Number one is, compute muna natin yung NRV of all the assets. So yun yung basically cash na ipambabayad natin sa liabilities natin. And step number two is, we compute for the recovery percentage. Yung formula natin dyan, for the recovery percentage, net free assets over total unsecured liabilities. Pag may recovery percentage ka na, we can compute kung how much ibabayad natin to each type of creditor or liabilities. Okay? Now, meron tayong balance sheet equivalent, meron tayong income statement equivalent. Ang tawag natin doon, statement of realization and liquidation. So, T-account yung gagamitin mo pag ganyang class. And ayan, sinamarize ko na. Isa-isay natin. Assets to be realized, assets acquired, okay? Assets realized, assets not realized. Liabilities to be liquidated, liabilities assumed, liabilities liquidated, and liabilities not liquidated. Okay? Lahat ng income, revenues, sales natin sa credit side, lahat ng expenses natin sa debit side. Okay? And then yung balancing figure natin is gain or loss. Got it? Sige. So let's apply that to our handouts. Number 32. Okay, 32. It refers to process of winding up the affairs of the corporation by settling its corporate debts and distributing the remainder to the stockholders. That's what you call corporate liquidation. Kung meron kang partnership liquidation, meron ka ring liquidation for corporations. We call it corporate liquidation, letter A. Number 33. In reporting a company that is to be under liquidation, assets are shown at NRV tayo. Okay? Net realizable value, letter B for number 33. In a statement of affairs, how are liabilities classified? Let's go to boy, secured and unsecured. Nasaan yung secured dito? Yung fully secured and partially secured. Okay, meron tayong dalawang unsecured, yung with priority and without priority. If the value of the pledged property is less than the obligation, what is the treatment of the liability? Less than the obligation, partially secured, letter A. And then 36, the estimated deficiency to unsecured creditors without priority is computed as, let's go to letter D, okay? A or C. So, letter A, net free assets less total unsecured liabilities without priority. Yan, that's also your deficiency. And then, tingnan natin yung boy. Net free assets divided by total unsecured liabilities without priority. Actually, yung boy is recovery percentage. Ang tanong dyan is estimated deficiency. Letter C is also your estimated deficiency. Total assets at realizable values less total liabilities. Okay, so total assets yun yung pwede natin ipambayad, less yung total liabilities, yung babayaran natin. Difference nila, pag kulang yung assets, that's what you call deficiency. So A or C, answer natin class is dog. Alright, let's go to number 37. For number 37, yung i-apply natin is this one, statement of affairs tayo. And ang tanong sa atin dyan class, compute for the settlement to fully secured, partially secured, and unsecured without priority. So take note, pag ganyan yung tanong class, step by step lang tayo. Compute mo natin yung NRV and then yung recovery percentage. Okay, so let's do that for number 37. Number 37, let's read the problem. ABC Corporation is undergoing liquidation and has the following condensed statement of financial position. Okay, we have assets, we have liabilities and equity. Okay, so obviously, yung mga assets na yan, possible na naka-book value yan. And tingnan natin, identify natin yung mga liabilities kung ano yung classification nila. Okay, so we have 4 bullet points. Let's go to the first bullet point. The bonds payable. Asan yun? Nakita nyo class yung bonds payable na 7 million. Susulat natin yan. Bonds payable na 7 million are secured by building having a realizable value of 6.3. So building, 6.3 million. Tama ba class yung bonds payable natin na yan? This is considered as partially secured. Tama ba? So bonds payable 7 million, building realizable value 6.3. Yes, partially secured yan. Alright. Let's go to the second bullet of the accounts payable. Tingnan natin yun. Accounts payable, 1,050,000 is secured by 1/4 of the receivables. Tingnan natin ha. So yung 1,050,000 daw, secured siya by 1/4 of the receivable. Nasaan yung receivable? Tingnan natin. AR, yung 1/4 niyan, kumpitin natin class. Nakita mo ba yung sa balance sheet? Receivables 5,964. 5,964,000. 5,964 divide natin by 4. Okay? And then, so yung 1/4 natin is 1,491,000. Collectible daw yan, 80%. Ibig sabihin, yun yung NRV niya. Times 0.8. 1,192,800. 1,192,800. Okay, so ito yung sinisecure niya yung accounts payable. Tama ba? So mas mataas yung AR natin, therefore yung accounts payable is fully secured. Does that make sense? Okay, so fully secured siya. Alright. Yung bonds payable dito ko lagay, partially secured. Okay, so tingnan natin. Let's continue. Second bullet pa rin. The remainder in the book value of the receivables has a realizable value of 4,112,500. So yung 3/4, yung remainder, meron siyang NRV na 4,112,500. Okay. Is used to secure the loans payable. Nasaan yung loan payable natin? Loan payable na 3,850. So sulat natin dito. Secured siya by this one. Tama? So ibig sabihin, mas mataas yung assets sa liability. This is fully secured. Does that make sense? Okay. The inventory has a realizable value of 927,500. Alright. In addition to the recorded liabilities are accrued interest on bonds. Interest on bonds payable. Sasama natin dito yung class. So plus 70,000. Therefore, yung bonds payable natin, pagsamahin natin, 7,070,000. Trustees expenses, 43,750. And then meron tayong taxes, 52,500. Okay. So, nalaman natin yung classifications of each type of liability. Tingnan natin step by step. Compute natin class yung net realizable value of all the assets. Punta tayo sa balance sheet. Meron tayong cash. That is 1,998,500. Okay. We have receivables natin, or AR natin. Well, na-compute natin earlier yan. Ito siya. So, 1,192,800, add natin ha. 1,192,800 plus 4,112,500, you get 5,305,300. Tama? So, lagay ko dito, 5,305,300. Okay, let's go to inventory. Punta tayo dun sa third bullet. Nakita mo dun, NRV 927,500. What else? Prepaid expenses and goodwill. Pag walang sinabi sa problem, assume mo 0 yan. Hindi mo na marirecover yan. And then we have building. Building natin sa problem, nandun sa first bullet, 6.3 million. Okay, so let's add. Compute natin yung total NRV, 1,998,500 plus 5,305,300 plus 927,500 plus 6.3 million, you get 14,531,300. 14,531,300. So class, isipin nyo, ito yung pwede natin ipambayad sa mga creditors natin pag ni-liquidate or pag kinonvert natin lahat sa cash. So yun yung cash natin, 14,531,300. And then, bayaran natin yung lahat ng creditors natin. Rewrite ko dito, NRV natin is 14,531,300. Let's pay yung fully secured. Okay, fully secured. Nasaan yung fully secured natin? We have accounts payable, tama? Na 1,050,000. Dalawa yan, fully secured. Accounts payable, 1,050,000. And then, we have fully secured dito na loans payable na 3,850,000. Okay, so bayaran natin buo yan. Let's pay yung partially secured. Nasaan yung partially secured? Bonds payable. Well, secured siya by building. Ito lang yung ma-receive niya muna, 6.3 million. Okay, bonds payable natin, 6.3 million. And then yung with priority natin, kahit wala siyang security, babayaran natin 100% yan. Doon ka sa last bullet class, nakita mo yung trustees expenses, 43,750. Add natin yan. 43,750 plus taxes, 52,500. Pag titingin ka sa balance sheet, may salaries doon. Kasama yung salaries sa with priority. Plus salaries, 875. Makakompute mo pala is 971,250. 971,250. Okay, let's compute for the net free assets. 14,531,300. 14,531,300 minus 1,050,000. Okay, ulit. 14,531,300 minus 1,050,000 minus 3,850 minus 6.3 minus 971,250. Net free assets natin, 2,360,050. Okay, let's compute for the recovery percentage. Recovery percentage natin is net free assets, 2,360 over yung total unsecured natin. Nasaan yung mga unsecured? Okay, so yung accounts payable natin kanina, Sabi dyan, yung 1,050,000 secured daw siya. Tama? Fully secured yan eh. Ibig sabihin, yung balance ng accounts payable, tama ba yung total accounts payable sa balance sheet, 1,898,750 minus 1,050,000, 848,750. Walang sinabi dyan, ibig sabihin, ang assumption mo, without priority yan. So kasama yan sa denominator, 848,750 plus, take note class na dun sa liabilities natin, meron notes payable na 1.4 million. Walang minention kung ano yun. So ibig sabihin, without priority. Don't forget yung unsecured portion of partially secured. Nasaan yung partially secured natin? Yung bonds payable. Ano yung unsecured portion yan? Difference na. 7,070,000 minus 6.3 million, 770,000. Okay? So kasama sa denominator yan, 770,000. Plus, computing natin yung denominator niyan, 848,750 plus 1.4 million plus 770,000, 3,018,750. 3,018,750. Okay, so 2,360,050 divided by 3,018,750. Okay, ano nakuha ko dyan? 2,360,050. Okay, na-compute ko siya dito, class. Double check ko lang, ha. 050 divided by 3,018,750. 78.18%. So, ma-decimal siya. So, pag ganyan, class, in the board exam, re-reviewin mo muna, no? Pero, double check natin, yan pa rin yung sagot natin. There's a recovery percentage. After that, masasagot natin easily yung mga problems. Okay, fully secured. Nasaan yung fully secured? Ito, 100% marireceive nila. 1,050,000 plus 3,850. Yung marireceive ng fully secured, 4.9 million. Okay? Partially secured, nasaan yun? Yung bonds payable. So, yung marireceive ng partially secured natin, yung 6.3 plus, ito yung unsecured portion, 78.18% yan. Plus 770 times 78.18%. Kumpitin natin, class. 770,000 times 0.7818 plus 6.3 million. Answer, 6,901,986. Okay, 6,901,986. So, or 990, round up natin. So, possible na boy yung sagot natin. So, kumpitin natin yung without priority. Nasaan yung without priority? Ito siya. Tama? So, 848,750. I think yun yung accounts payable. And yung notes payable na 1.4 million. 2,248,750. Multiply natin by the recovery percentage, 78.18%. Okay, point times 0.7818. 1,758,070. 1,758,070. Answer natin dito, class, for number 37 is boy. Okay, boy. Alright. Ganun ang gagawin natin. Step by step lang tayo. Sige, let's go to number 38. Doon naman tayo sa statement of realization and liquidation. Okay, so apply lang natin, class, yung T account na pinakita ko sa board. Erase ko na to para may space tayo. So, unahin muna natin lahat ng assets. Okay? So, assets muna. Assets realized, saan natin lalagay yan? Sa credit yan. Yan yung nabenta natin. Yan yung proceeds kung magkano natin nabenta. Assets acquired, nakita mo yun, yung fourth line item, 17,500. Ito siya, additional assets yan, kaya debit. Assets not realized, yan yung hindi natin nabenta, so dito siya sa credit, 147,000. Assets to be realized, yan yung beginning balance, 332,500. So inuna ko yung mga assets na given sa problem. Okay? Assets realized, this one is assets acquired, assets not realized, and assets to be realized. Doon naman tayo sa liabilities. Okay, liabilities assumed, 5,250, dito ko siya lalagay. And then, next is liabilities to be liquidated. Yan yung beginning balance na liabilities natin, kaya sa credit side siya. Next natin, liabilities not liquidated. Yan yung hindi natin nabayaran pa for the month, 111,475. And then, liabilities, yung last item, liquidated. Yan yung kung magkano natin binayaran, 122,500. Okay. Yes, tama, 122,500. Okay, so isa-isay natin yung mga items pa hindi natin na-consider. Interest on investment. Siyempre, interest income yan. So, sa credit natin talagay, 525. Purchases on account. So, yung purchases, mapupunta sa cost of goods sold mo yan. So, bawas yan. Dito siya, 5,250. Next, payment of expenses. So, lahat ng expenses natin, lahat ng cost of goods sold, sa debit natin yan, 26,250. Next natin, sales on account, 17,500. Siyempre, credit yan. And then, sales for cash, 87,500. Dito rin yan sa credit. I think, na-consider na natin lahat. Sige. So, next natin gagawin, class, add natin yung debit, add natin yung credit. And then, i-compare natin. Okay, doon tayo sa debit. 332,500 plus 17,500 plus 111,475 plus 122,500 plus 5,250 plus 26,250. Nakuha ko dito, class, 615,475. Okay? Sa credit side, 105,000 plus 147,000 plus 227,500 plus 5,250 plus 525 plus 17,500 plus 87,500. Nakuha ko naman sa credit side, 590,275. Okay, so ganito yung class. Kaya dito, mas mataas yung debit natin kaysa credit. Tama? So we know, ito yung mga expenses mo and losses, ito yung gains and revenues mo. Therefore, kung mataas yung expenses and losses mo, may loss ka dito. Kaya dito, balancing figure natin, loss. Pag dito naman, gain yung balancing figure natin. Okay, tignan natin yung difference nila. Minus 615, 475. Answer natin, 25,200. Ingat ka lang kung gain or loss ha. So this one is a loss. Letter C. Okay, so ayan, that's for corporate liquidation. Easy. Let's go to our next topic, home office and branch. Ayan, I think master nyo na yan kasi tapos na tayo sa business combination natin. Na-discuss natin dati. So, same concept lang sila. Tignan natin class kung yung kailangan natin tandaan for home office and branch. Alright, so erase ko na muna to para compute tayo later. Okay. So yeah, so for home office and branch, Sir Brad's magic table ang gagamitin natin dyan. Okay, so meron tayong cost, build, and AOI. Yung AOI natin, alam natin class, ito yung markup. Okay? And, ayan. Beginning inventory, shipment, goods available for sale, ending inventory, and cost of goods sold. Yung concept kasi ng home office and branch, isang entity lang sila. Tama? Home office and branch are one entity. Meron tayong working paper, eliminating entry. Wherein lahat ng reciprocal accounts, investment in branch, home office, shipment to branch, shipment from home office, and AOI, yung mga yan, i-eliminate natin. Parang business combination. Tama? Okay, so don't forget na yung sa table na to, lahat ng transactions between the home office and the branch. Lahat ng outside transactions, outside the table siya. May separate computation tayo ng cost of goods sold. And another possible problem for home office and branch is reconciliation. Tama? Ito yung format natin. Investment in branch, or ito yung books of the home office. Okay? Ito naman yung home office account or yung books in branch. Okay? So, huwag ka malilito doon ha. Investment in branch and home office, meron tayong unadjusted balance, and then yung mga adjustments natin, we get the adjusted. Usually, ang tatanong sa'yo dyan, for example, adjusted, pwede rin tanong sa'yo yan. We know kailangan equal lagi yan, kaya reciprocal account sila. Pag ang tanong sa'yo, unadjusted, so from this one, compute mo yan, and then work back tayo to get the unadjusted balance. Okay? Sige, so apply natin siya. So next problem natin, let's go to what? Theory muna tayo class, number 39. 39. Okay, the investment in branch and home office accounts are best described as, let's go to letter C, reciprocal accounts. And we know, lahat ng reciprocal accounts, we have to eliminate them. Okay, let's go to number 40. In the separate statement of financial position of the home office, the investment in branch account is an asset account. Letter C. In the separate statement of financial position of the branch, the home office account shall be presented as equity, boy. Pero class, dun sa combined financial statements, hindi mo makikita yan. Kasi kasama siya sa working paper, eliminating entry natin. I-eliminate natin yan. Let's go to number 42. In preparing the combined financial statements of the home office and branch, letter C, yung sagot natin, reciprocal accounts are eliminated, but non-reciprocal accounts are combined. Okay? So, letter C. Let's go to number 43. Very comprehensive problem. Lahat to matatouch na natin ang concept dito sa table natin. Okay? Question for number 43 is, how much is the combined profit? The following information pertains to the home office and branch for year 2025. Okay. And then we have records for home office and branch, sales, shipment, purchases, expenses, beginning inventory, ending inventory. Okay, so paano sir sisimulan yan? Lagay natin agad yung table natin. So for number 43, ganito ko siya sasagutan. Lagay ko agad, cost, build, AOI. Okay, and then lahat ng outside purchases, dito siya lalagay. Or outside transactions, beginning inventory, shipments, goods available for sale, ending inventory, and cost of goods sold. Okay. Tingnan natin class. Shipments to branch, 90,000. So, saan siya lalagay? Dito siya, 90,000. And then, shipments from home office, 112,500. So, tingnan natin class yung difference. 112,500 minus 90. Lalagay ko dito, 22,500. And then, doon tayo sa beginning inventory. Nakita mo dyan class, beginning inventory of the branch. Doon tayo sa from home office. Okay? Build at 20% above cost. Okay, so nasa books yan ni branch, therefore dito siya, 42,000. And then sabi dyan, 20% above cost. So ang gagawin ko dyan, 42,000 divided by 1.2, 35,000. 42 minus 35, you have 7,000. So add natin yan. 35,000 plus 90, 125,000. Okay. 42,000 plus 112,500, you get 154,500. And then 7,000 plus 22,500, this is 29,500. Okay. Let's go to ending inventory. Nandun sa last item na given. Ending inventory from home office, build at 25% above cost, 30,000. So dito siya lagay. 30,000, build at 30%, build at 25%. 30,000 divided by 1.25, 24,000 here. Okay, 30 minus 24, you have 6,000. And tingnan natin, 125,000 minus 24,000. You have 101,000 for the cost of goods sold. 154,500 minus 30,000. 124,500. And then 29,500 minus 6,000. 23,500. Okay, so that's your table. Gawin natin yung outside purchases. Beginning inventory, nakita mo dyan class, beginning inventory sa branch from outsiders, 9,500. Alright? So lagay dito, beginning inventory, 9,500. And then we have purchases, dun siya sa item, yung third item, purchases from outsiders, 35,000. Minus natin yung ending inventory. Dun siya sa second to the last item, ending inventory from outsiders, 6,500. Okay? Let's compute the cost of goods sold ni branch. 9,500 plus 35,000 minus 6,500, you get 38,000. Okay? Ito yung cost of goods sold from outside purchases, 38,000. Okay, next nating class, combined profit, no? So, pwede na natin i-compute yung net income ni branch. Tama? Ganito gagawin ko dyan class. So, si branch, tama ba meron siyang sales? 174,500. Okay? And then, yung cost of goods sold ni branch, ang tanong sa atin is combined. So, ibig sabihin, yung cost, ito gagamitin mo as well as this one. Tama lang? So, ibig sabihin, mayroon tayong minus 101,000, meron tayong minus 38,000. Don't forget na i-deduct yung OPEX. Plus, compute natin yung OPEX ni branch. Doon tayo sa fourth item. Nakita mo yung advertising expense? So, add natin yan, ha? Advertising, 2,500, plus salaries and commission, 9,500, plus rent expense, 2,000, plus miscellaneous, 500, 14,500. 14,500. Okay, so 174,500, minus 101,000, minus 38,000, minus 14,500, you get 21,000. Okay, so net income ni branch, yung tawag natin dyan, correct net income, okay, ni branch is 21,000. Now, syempre, combined So, kailangan makompute din natin si home office. Si home office, meron siyang sales, 365,000. And then, meron siyang, compute natin yung cost of goods sold ni home office. Beginning inventory, nakita mo dyan class, inventory beginning home office, 85,000. And then, meron siyang purchases from outsiders, nandun sa third item, 220,000. Huwag mo kakalimutan tanggalin yung shipments to branch. Tatanggalin mo yan ha, 90,000. Siyempre, tanggalin din natin yung ending inventory to get the cost of goods sold. Ending inventory of the home office, 65,000. Let's compute for the cost of goods sold, 85,000 plus 220 minus 90 minus 65, you get 150,000. Okay, 150,000 yung cost of goods sold yung home office. Don't forget to deduct the operating expenses. Doon tayo sa fourth line item, advertising expense of home office, 13,700, plus salaries and commission, 35,000, plus rent expense, 10,000, plus miscellaneous, 3,300, 62,000. OPEX natin, 62,000. Therefore, net income of the home office is 365 minus 150 minus 62,000, 153,000. Okay, 153,000. And then, 153,000. Okay. So, combined profit, 153 kay home office, add natin yung kay branch na 21. So, add natin yan, 153 plus 21. Answer natin class is boy, 174,000. Okay, we have boy. 174,000. So take note, combined kasi, kaya cost yung ginamit natin kay branch. Okay? Ngayon class, pag ang tanong sa'yo dito, separate income ni home office, siyempre ang sagot mo, 153,000. And then, yung difference lang ng income ni branch, yung separate, as well as yung correct net income ni branch, we know yung cost of goods sold sa AOI. Yun yung difference nila. Got it? Pag ang tanong sa'yo is ending inventory in the combined financial statements, siyempre, sama mo to. At cost dapat. Isama mo to. And isama mo yung kay home office. Tama? Okay, so pag may table na tayo na ganyan, kaya-kaya natin sagutan yung problem. Sige, so boy tayo for number 43. Let's go to number 44. 44 is reconciliation. So tingnan natin class, ito lang yung format natin na gagamitin. So pwede ko nang i-erase to. Okay. The year-end balance of the investment in branch X in the home office books sa balance of 225,770. Dito natin siya lalagay, class. Investment in branch, and then dito yung home office. Okay? Start tayo sa unadjusted. Sabi dyan, year-end balance. So, ibig sabihin, yan yung unadjusted balance. 225,770. Office equipment costing the home office 3,500 was recorded by the branch as 350. Ano yung difference nun? So, nagkamali si branch, 3,500 minus 350, 3,150. So, pag ganyan, class, pag nahihirapan ka sa balancing or sa adjustments, pwede ka mag-journal entry. Okay, so equipment yan sa books ni branch. So ang gagawin natin dapat dyan, debit equipment, credit home office, 3,500. So kulang yung ni-record ni branch. Therefore, kulang yung credit niya na home office. It means, for letter A, kailangan natin itaas yung home office. So add natin, difference yan is 3,150. So, that makes sense? So, ang ginawa ko, nilagay ko yung correct entry, kinumpare ko sa ginawa ni branch, and then, ayan, yung adjustment natin. Add natin 3,150. Adjustment B. Insurance premium of 675 charged by the home office was taken up twice by the branch. Okay, so ang entry dyan, debit prepaid insurance, credit home office. Kaya lang, dalawang beses niya ginawa. Yung correct entry is 675 lang. Dalawang beses siya nag-entry, therefore, dalawang beses siya nag-credit ng home office. Bawasan natin, 675. Okay, minus 675. Letter C. Freight charge on merchandise made by the home office for 1125 was recorded in the branch 1215. Okay, so debit freight in or debit shipment from credit home office 1215 ang ginawa ni branch. Pero dapat 1125 lang. Ano yung difference? 1215 minus 1125, 90. Sumobra yung credit ng home office ng 90. Therefore, mag-minus 90 tayo. Adjustment D. Home office credit memo representing a discount on merchandise was not recorded by the branch. Okay. Pag sinabing credit memo na galing kay home office, credit ni home office yung investment in branch. So, ibig sabihin, binawasan. Tama? Kung binawasan ni home office to, dapat bawasan ni branch yung home office account. Hindi pa daw ni-record ni branch, therefore, kailangan niya magbawas ng 800 minus 800. Letter E. The branch failed to take up a 700 debit memo from the home office representing the share. Okay, ganito yung class. Debit memo from home office. Dinebit ni home office yung investment ni branch. Ganito ibig sabihin nun. Okay? Pag credit memo from home office, credit ni home office yung investment ni branch. Gets? Okay. Depende kung saan galing. Pag sinabing debit memo from the branch, dinebit ni branch yung home office account. Alright? So, isa pa. Letter E. The branch failed to take up a 700 debit memo from home office. Debit memo from home office, dinebit ni home office yung investment in branch. So, in-increase ni home office, dapat i-increase din ni branch yung home office account. So, plus 700. Letter F. Okay, the home office inadvertently recorded the remittance of 3,000 from branch Y as remittance from branch X. Debit cash, credit investment in branch Y. Pag nag-remit ka, babawasan yung investment mo. Tama? So, it means, kay Y dapat, pero kay X na charge. So, add back natin yung 3,000 plus 3,000. Let's compute for the adjusted balance. 225,770 plus 3,000, 228,770. Okay, so copy-paste natin dito, 228,770. And then work back tayo para ma-compute natin yung adjusted balance. 228,770 minus 700 plus 800 plus 90 plus 675 minus 3,150, you get 226,57. Oy, hindi yata ako. T, 675, 90, 800, 700. Isa pa. 228,770 minus 700 plus 800 plus 90 plus 675 minus 3,150, 226,485. 226,485. Sagot natin, class. How much are the unadjusted? So yung unadjusted natin ito, 226,485. And adjusted natin, 228,770. Answer is dog. Letter D. Okay, dog. Alright, so that's for home office and branch. Class, let's go to cost accounting. Dito tayo sa job order and process costing. Okay? For job order costing, very important, class. Dapat master yung paano mag-compute ng cost of goods manufactured and cost of goods sold. Okay? Know this formula by heart. Raw materials used plus direct labor plus overhead, total manufacturing cost, plus WIP beginning minus WIP end, you have cost of goods manufactured, plus FG beginning minus FG end, cost of goods sold. Take note, class, na raw materials used, hindi yung purchased. Okay? And also, mas madali ito kung gagamit ka ng T account for raw materials or direct materials, WIP, and finished goods. Okay? So ito yung recommend ko. Use T accounts pag ang pinakompute sa'yo is cost of goods manufactured and cost of goods sold. Okay, now, in job order costing, we have what you call normal costing. Okay? Wherein yung overhead natin, meron tayong predetermined rate. Predetermined overhead rate. Okay? Now, at the end of the period, every December 31, possible na magkaiba yung actual overhead or ang tawag natin doon OH control and yung in-apply na overhead or OH applied. If the OH applied is greater than OH control, ang tawag natin dito, class, over-applied. Okay? Pag naman yung OH applied is less than the OH control, under-applied naman yan. And we know, kailangan masunod sa ating class yung control because yun yung actual talaga na-incur natin. Now, the difference, depende. If material or significant or if immaterial or insignificant. Pag material, allocate natin yung class. 3 items. Allocate mo sa WIP, finished goods, and cost of goods sold. If immaterial yung difference, i-charge mo na lang yan sa cost of goods sold. Alright? Now, we also learned na pag job order costing, meron tayong tinatawag na spoilages or spoiled units and defective units. Ano yung difference nila? Pag defective units, mag-i-incur tayo ng tinatawag na rework costs. And then, yung defective units, considered pa rin yan as good units. Okay, back to original basically. Pag spoiled units, hindi na yan considered as good units. Gets? Okay, now, Spoiled units and defective units, pwede yung normal or abnormal. Basta abnormal, automatic, charge mo na yan sa loss. Okay? Pag normal naman, pwedeng normal specific or normal common. Pag sinabi mong normal specific, nangyari yan because of customer's specifications. Request ni customer yan. That's why we charge this to work in process. Pag normal common naman, usually class, it's because of internal failure. And pag normal common, we charge this to overhead. Okay? Ang critical dito, pag normal specific, since charge mo yan sa WIP, and yung WIP, yung basis natin na unit cost, tataas yung unit cost mo dyan. Alright? Pag normal common, since OH mo charge, hindi naman sa WIP, walang effect yung unit cost. Same pa rin yan. Okay? Pag abnormal, since charge mo yan sa loss, same unit cost natin. Okay? No change. Alright? So, ibig sabihin, tataas lang yung unit cost mo pag normal specific. Okay? Now, sir, ano yung isa pang difference between spoiled and defective units? Magkakaiba yung class dito sa computation natin ng unit cost. Because yung unit cost natin is computed as work in process, yung numerator natin, divided by good units. Okay? So sabi ko kanina, kapag defective units, nagiging good units ulit siya. Ibig sabihin, mapupunta siya dun sa denominator pag magko-compute ka ng unit cost. Alright? Pag spoiled units, hindi yan good units, therefore hindi ka mapupunta sa denominator. Yun yung difference nila. So kung nasa denominator yung defective units, it means yung unit cost for defective units, well, mas mababa siya than spoiled units. Does that make sense? Kasi mas mataas denominator. Ibig sabihin, mas mababa yung unit cost. Alright? Sige. Okay. So that's what you have to remember pagdating sa job order costing. Meron po ba akong na-miss out? I think yun na yun. Sige, so let's answer our handouts. Let's go to number 45. Which of the following is least likely to be an objective of cost accounting system? Letter A, product costing. Well, actually, yun naman yung pinaka-important sa atin. I-determine natin yung cost ng inventory and from there, i-determine natin yung selling price. Department efficiency, inventory valuation, dog yung answer dito. Least likely is dog sales commission determination. Okay, so hindi yan. Letter D for number 45. Number 46, when shall the job order costing be used instead of process costing? Okay, yung A, basahin natin class, when the production process performs standardized or uniform procedures, process costing yan. Okay, pag may production line. B, when the company performs a very long production, process costing din yan. Letter C, ito yung job order. When the company produces high value, heterogeneous products. Letter D naman, process costing yan, when the company produces low value and homogeneous. Ibig sabihin ng homogeneous, identical products. Letter C for number 46. Okay. Let's go to number 47. In the job cost system, the application of factory overhead is usually reflected in the ledger as an increase in. Ngayon, pag nag-OH applied ka, pag nag-entry ka dyan, okay, journal entry mo is debit WIP, credit OH applied. Okay? So, kaya answer natin dito class for number 47 is letter C. Debit WIP, credit OH applied. Letter C for number 47. Let's go to number 48. When the amount of over-applied factory overhead is significant or material, the entry to close OH or over-applied factory overhead will most likely require, so pakita ko yung journal entry sa inyo. So, may over-applied tayo, tama? So, ibig sabihin, si OH applied mas mataas kay OH control. Yung normal balance si OH applied is a credit. Normal balance si OH control is a debit. Therefore, pag nag-closing entry tayo, debit OH applied, credit OH control, and then, over-applied. So, mas mataas yung debit natin. Yung difference natin, sabi dyan, material daw or significant, discharge natin to WIP, FG, and cost of goods sold. Kaya entry natin dito class, answer natin for number 48 is DOG, credit to cost of goods sold, finished goods, and work in process. Okay? Letter D yung sagot natin. Pag naman under-applied, boy naman yung sagot mo. Tama? Debit naman siya pag under-applied. Alright. This is for number 48. Let's go to number 49. Problem solving naman tayo for job order costing. Apply lang natin class yung formula natin in computing cost of goods manufactured and cost of goods sold. Sige, Company X employs normal costing for its production. Pag sinabing normal costing, ibig sabihin, OH applied yung ginagamit. Okay? The following data are provided during the current year. Net purchases of raw materials, 500. Total labor cost, 800. Depreciation and utilities, we know, OH yun, OH control. And then meron tayong beginning balance and ending balance for raw materials, WIP, and finished goods. Bullet number 1, the entity uses a single account for its direct materials and indirect materials. Indirect material used is 1/4 of the total direct materials used. Okay, so take note class, pag indirect materials, charge to overhead yan. Tama? Overhead yan. Hindi yan direct materials. Indirect labor cost is 1/8 of the total labor cost. Yun pa. Yung indirect din, overhead din yan. Considered as overhead. Number 3, the overhead application rate is 80% of the direct labor cost. Ibig sabihin, yan yung OH applied. And number 4, any over-under application is considered material. It means, allocate natin sa WIP, FG, and cost of goods sold. Okay, number 49, what is the total manufacturing cost? Class, ano nga ba yung formula doon? Add lang natin yung raw materials used, direct labor, and overhead. So, ganito gagawin ko dyan sa 49. Okay, so gagawin ko dyan, Materials muna tayo, tama? So, T-account ako for raw materials. So, raw materials, meron tayong beginning balance, 200,000, and then ending balance is 300, tama? Also, yung first item na given sa atin dyan, meron tayong purchases. Nakita mo yung 500? Okay, so 500,000. Let's solve for X para makuha natin yung raw materials used. 200,000 plus 500 minus 300, you get 400,000. Pero take note class, according to bullet number 1, yung 1/4 niyan, indirect. Ibig sabihin, charge natin sa overhead. Okay? So 400,000 divided by 1/4, this is 100,000. Charge natin sa OH yan. Ibig sabihin, ang charge natin sa direct materials or raw materials talaga is 300,000. Okay? Ito yung direct. Okay, meron tayong direct materials. Doon naman tayo sa labor. Okay, so DL natin is, given ba sa problem? Nasaan yung direct labor natin? Ayun, nandun sa, okay, second line item, meron tayong 800,000. Total labor. So, lagay ko dito, total labor. Na? 800,000. And then, according to the second bullet, yung indirect daw dyan, 1/8. So, 1/8, ibig sabihin, 100,000. Considered as OH yan. So yung 7/8, iyan lang yung direct natin. Okay, so kasama rin yan sa total manufacturing cost. So meron tayong DM, may DL, OH na lang. Okay, so yung OH natin class, sabi dyan, sa third bullet, 80% of the direct labor cost. Nasaan yung direct labor? 700 times 80%. That is 560,000. Okay, syempre OH applied yung gagamitin natin. Okay, add natin yung lahat ng binox ko. Total manufacturing cost for this problem is 300,000 plus 700 plus 560, you get letter A, 1,560,000. Final answer, 1,560,000, letter A. Okay, tinanggal ko yung indirect. Sa materials, OH yan. Sa labor naman, OH din yan. Okay? This is for number 49. Let's go to number 50. What is the cost of goods manufactured? Okay, WIP tayo. WIP beginning, 500,000. WIP end, 200,000. Ngayon class, yung total manufacturing cost na yan, ipasok natin yan sa T-account natin, 1,560. Let's solve for X. Kaya mas madali kapag T-account gagamitin mo. 500,000 plus 1,560 minus 200. Answer natin, 1,860,000. Letter B for number 50. Boy. What is the over or under application of overhead? Okay. Over under application of overhead. So, meron tayong OH applied. Na-compute na natin siya. Ito, 560,000. And then, meron tayong OH control. Yung actual cost yan pag OH control. Nasaan yung class? Doon ka sa third item. Nakita mo yung depreciation, actual cost yan. So add natin 100 plus yung utilities sa 300 and then kasama to class. Yung indirect materials and indirect labor plus 100 plus 100. So mako-compute mo dyan is 600,000. Okay? Tama ba class? Mas mababa yung OH applied sa OH control ng 40. Ibig sabihin under applied tayo. Answer natin is letter C, 40,000 under application. Okay? Now, hindi tinanong yung cost of goods sold, pero compute na rin natin para kompleto tayo. Pag cost of goods sold, FG naman yung gagamitin mo. Beginning is 600, ending natin is 300. Ngayon, yung cost of goods manufactured, pupunta yan dito sa debit ng FG mo, 1,860. Let's solve for the cost of goods sold, 1,860,000. Beginning 600 plus 1,860 minus 300,000 to 160,000. This is your cost of goods sold. Okay? Now, wala naman sa question pero sinolve na rin natin. Now, since sabi dyan sa last bullet, any over-under application is considered material, yung 40,000 na under-applied na yan, i-allocate natin sa cost of goods sold, finished goods ending, and WIP ending. Okay, ending balances sila. Just in case lang naitanong sa problem. Allocate natin yan. Alright, so for number 51, letter C yung sagot natin. Let's go to number 52. Company X has no WIP or FG, inventories at the close of the business, on December 31. The balances as of December 31 are as follows. Meron tayong cost of goods sold, selling and admin, we have sales, OH control, and OH applied. What is the pre-tax income or what is the net income? So, paano yan, sir? So, dito class, magkaiba yung control sa applied. So, mas mataas yung control. Meron tayong under-applied. What's the difference? 700,000 minus 648. Tama ba class? For number 52, meron tayong under-applied na 52,000. Tama? Now, pinapakompute sa ating income. So, ibig sabihin dyan, ganito lang gagawin natin. We have sales na 3.6 million. And then yung cost of goods sold natin, ganito mangyayari dyan, class. Ito ko compute na. Meron tayong OH, pag clinose natin yung OH applied, debit OH applied, 648,000. Credit OH control, 700,000. Ibig sabihin, i-debit natin dito. Walang sinabi kung material or immaterial. Pero actually, hindi siya mag-make. Wala siyang bearing dito. Bakit? Sabi dyan sa first sentence, wala daw WIP, walang finished goods. Okay? Therefore, whether material or immaterial, both sa cost of goods sold mo lang siya i-charge. Okay, para mag-balance yung entry natin, may debit cost of goods sold tayo, 52,000. It means, kung dinebit mo yung cost of goods sold, increase sa cost of goods sold yan. So, mangyayari dyan class, yung cost of goods sold natin, merong 2,040,000 sa problem, and then i-add mo pa dyan yung 52,000. Okay? Negative natin kasi income yung pinapahanap. And then, meron tayong OPEX, selling and admin, 900,000. Let's compute for our income. Okay, 3.6 million minus 2,040,000 minus 52 minus 900,000, you get 608,000. 608,000, that is letter A. Okay, letter A. Alright, that's for number 52. Okay, let's go to number 53. For 53, meron tayong spoilage. Okay, spoilage. Dito natin solve. Okay, company excess job number 15 for the manufacture of 66 coats. So yung total units natin, 66, tama? Was completed during August. Meron tayong materials, labor, and overhead. Ito yung unit cost. So 3,000 per unit, yun yung cost. Final inspection, disclosed 600 spoiled coats. So yung spoilage natin, 600. Therefore, yung good units natin is only 6,000. Does that make sense? Kasi sabi ko, pag spoiled, hindi na yan good units. Okay? Pag rework siya, or pag defective, magiging good units ulit yan. Tama? 600,000. Yung NRV niya, 600,000. Or salvage value. Assuming that spoilage loss is charged to all production, ito siya. Normal, common yun. Ibig sabihin ng all production. What would be the unit cost? Okay, so sinamarize natin dito. Kapag normal, common ka, same yung unit cost mo. Pag abnormal, same yung unit cost. Pag normal specific, doon lang mag-i-increase. Okay, kaya dito, kahit di ka mag-compute, alam mo ang sagot natin sa 53 is letter C. Okay, letter C yan. Pero pakita na rin natin. Ganito gagawin ko dyan, class. What if normal? What if abnormal? Okay, pakita ko yung computation ha. Normal specific and normal specific. Normal common. Let's compute for the unit cost. Ganito lang siya computean. Okay, dun muna tayo sa good units muna. Yung 6,000. So 6,000 times 3,000 per unit. Tama ba? 18 million yan. So 18 million yung numerator ko plus yung specific to, tama? So yung good units, i-charge natin siya sa WIP. Okay? So 600 times 3,000 per unit, 1.8 million. Kasama yan. I-charge mo sa WIP yan eh. Pero pwede mong i-minus kung magkano mo nabenta yan, which is the salvage value of 600,000. I-divide natin siya by the good units. Kasi sabi ko dito, pag magko-compute ka na unit cost, denominator mo is good units. Huwag mo gagamitin yung 66 ha. Pag spoiled unit, 6,000 gagamitin mo dyan. Okay, so 18 million plus 1.8 minus 600 divide by 6,000, answer mo dito, 3,200 per unit. So as you notice, from 3,000, naging 3,2 siya. Kaya increase tayo. Gets? Okay. Pag normal common, ganito naman yung class. 18 million, okay, yun sa good units. Ngayon, hindi ka mag-charge dyan sa WIP. Kasi i-charge mo yan sa OH. Therefore, wala kang 1.8 million. Ito sa OH din, so ang numerator mo lang is 18 million. Okay, 18 million divide by 3,000, divide by 6,000 units. Okay, kaya ang sagot mo dito is 3,000. Kaya letter C yung sagot natin. Walang problema dyan. Pag abnormal naman, 18 million, i-charge mo sa loss yung 1.8, babawas mo sa loss yung 600, divide mo sa 6,000, 3,000 per unit pa rin yung unit cost natin. So again, walang change pag normal common and abnormal spoilage. Okay? Pag specific, normal specific, tataas siya. From 3,000 naging 3,2, tumaas siya. Okay? Ngayon, pag defective units, ano yung magiging difference sa computation natin? Magiging difference sa computation natin, yung denominator mo, gagamitin mo is 66. Kasi pag defective, nag-rework ka, good units ulit yung 600. Magiging 66 yan. 66 din dito and 66 dito. Yun yung difference. Okay? Alright, so that's for job order costing. Let's go to process costing. Okay, so pag ang products naman na pinoproduce natin are identical and homogeneous, okay, low-value products, process costing naman. Gagamit tayo ng production line. Okay? Now, ang technique dito is yung cost of production report. Okay, prepare tayo niyan. Ano yung mga important items sa cost of production report? Meron tayong units to account for, or basically, yung total units. Alamin natin saan mapupunta siya at the end of the period. Units accounted for, saan napunta yung units to account for. Okay? Very important concept sa price costing is EUP, or equivalent units of production, and cost per EUP. Once may cost per EUP na tayo, kayang-kaya natin isolve yung problems. Okay, so for process costing, meron tayong two acceptable methods. FIFO, or average, or WAVE. Okay, weighted average. Now, sinasabi sa problem yan kung anong method yung gagamitin. So, ano difference? Pag FIFO, let's say yung WIP beginning mo nasa 20%, kukontinue mo lang siya. Okay? Pag weighted average, yung WIP beginning mo, ibabalik mo sa 0% and then, saka siya go 100%. Yun yung difference yan. Okay? Therefore, pag kukumpute mo yung cost per EUP under FIFO, ay kukonsider mo yung cost lang for the period. Okay? Current cost lang ang gagamitin mo. Pag naman wave, since binatik mo siya, ang gagamitin mo dyan, yung current cost plus the cost in your WIP beginning. Okay? Current cost plus cost in WIP beginning, yung numerator mo. Later, papakita ko yan pag mag-compute ka ng cost per EUP. Alright, now, parang job order lang din. Meron kang concept of spoiled units pagdating sa process costing. Pag normal spoilage, ang gagawin mo dito, class, i-charge mo yan sa finished goods or transferred out units. Okay? Ang effect ng normal spoilage sa process costing is to increase the unit cost. Parang dito. Parang job order lang din yan. Okay? But in this case, i-charge natin sa FG or transferred out. Ano difference yan, sir? Pag transferred out, parang FG lang yan. Ang difference lang yan, pag transferred out, meron ka pang second department. Pag FG, finished goods, pwede mo na ibenta. Okay? And also, take note, class, yung normal spoilage, tingnan mo kung ano yung basis yan. Kasi minsan, sabi dyan, based on the started units, based on the good units, based on the completed units, iba-iba yan. Okay? And if minsan, applicable din na yung normal spoilage, mag-allocate ka din sa WIP end. If yung WIP end mo, sumobra dun sa inspection point. Okay? Kaya i-check mo kung ano yung completion ng WIP end natin. Okay, pag abnormal, walang problema. I-charge na natin ito sa loss. So, hindi siya makaka-affect dun sa unit cost sa process costing. Alright? Sige, so apply natin yan. Let's go to our handouts, number 54. Okay, when shall the process costing be used instead of job order costing? For number 54, punta tayo sa letter A, when the production process performs standardized or uniform procedure. So again, if gagamit ka ng production line, okay, process costing usually gagamitin natin dyan. Letter A for number 54. Let's go to number 55. Equivalent units of production or yun yung EUP. Okay? Letter C tayo. Number of whole units that could have been completed. Okay, so yun yung keywords dyan, could have been completed if it all work of the period had been used to produce whole units. Okay? EUP. Letter C. Let's go to number 56. If the spoilage in process costing is considered discrete, meron kasi tayong two types eh. Discrete or continuous. Mamaya pakita ko sa inyo ano yung difference. Pag discrete, tignan natin. Because there is inspection point, which of the following is correct? The cost assigned to abnormal loss should be charged as period cost or expense. Yes, loss yan or expense. Letter B, the cost assigned to normal loss shall be allocated either to units completed, yung FG or transferred out, or prorated to units completed and work in process based on EUP, depending on where normal loss were discovered. Depende yan, okay? And also, depende kung nagpass ng inspection point si WIP end. The loss or abnormal loss shall be given or not equivalent unit depending on the stage of completion and stage of adding the cost component. Yes, so usually, ang mangyayari dyan, depende sa inspection point, yun yung completion ng spoilages natin. All of the above for number 56. Number 57, in a process costing system, using the weighted average, cost per unit for a given component is found by dividing which of the following by EUP. Pag weighted average, binabalik natin sa start. Therefore, yung numerator mo, current cost plus yung cost sa WIP beginning, letter boy. Current period cost plus cost of beginning inventory. Okay, let's go to number 58, problem solving for process costing. Question sa atin, what is the total cost assigned to goods transferred out using weighted average and FIFO? Okay, so dalawa pinapasolve sa atin. The following information is available for ABC for the month. Meron tayong started, we have beginning work in process, normal spoilage, abnormal spoilage, ending, transferred out, meron tayong beginning work in process cost, and current cost. All materials are added at the start of production, and the inspection point is at the end of the process. Pag silent yung problem, usually ganito treatment. Okay? Yung materials sa start nilalagay, inspection point sa end. Pag silent, okay? Pero usually, inspection point, ini-mention naman sa problem yan. Okay. Dito ko lang gagawin yung FIFO. Side by side natin gawin. Dito yung FIFO, and dito naman yung weighted average, or wave. Okay, start muna tayo sa units to account for. Dito ko lalagay yung units to account for. UTAF. Units to account for natin, class, WIP beginning, which is 7.5, and then meron tayong started, which is 80,000. Okay, 87.5. So basically, kaya mahalaga yung UTAF na yan because iyan yung total units na alam natin saan pupunta. Okay? Dito naman tayo sa units accounted for under FIFO. Pag FIFO, titignan natin yung nanggaling sa WIP beginning. Okay? So transferred out units, galing sa WIP beginning, and yung transferred out na galing sa started units. Meron din tayong normal spoilage, we have abnormal spoilage, and WIP end. Okay, so alam natin, class, na yung total nito should also be 87,500. Equal lang dapat siya lagi. WIP beginning, 7.5. And then, sabi dyan, class, transferred out is 72.5. So 72.5 minus 7.5, 65,000 to. Normal spoilage, 1.1. abnormal 900. Okay? And then whip end natin, 13,000. Sige nga, add natin, dapat total yan is 87.5. 7.5 plus 65 plus 11 plus 900 plus 13,000, 87.5. Okay, next step natin, assign natin yung completion nila, materials and conversion cost. Okay? Sabi dyan, beginning of the process to nalagay yung materials. So, ibig sabihin ito, nalagyan na siya last period. Wala ka nang nalagay this period dyan. 100, 100, 100, and 100. Okay, so multiply natin. 0, 65,000. 1, 900. 13,000. This should be 80,000. Ito yung EUP as to materials, 80,000. Magugulat ka, minsan sa board exam, yun lang yung tanong. EUP as to materials, so ito yung sagot mo, 80,000. Conversion cost, yung WIP beginning natin class, 40% complete. Ibig sabihin, kailangan pa ng 60% yan, this period. 100. And then, since discrete yung nakalagay sa spoiled units, ibig sabihin, na-discover sila ng inspection point. Dito, 100% yung inspection point at the end of the process daw, kaya 100% yan. Otherwise, susundin mo lang kung ano yung inspection point. Pag discrete, okay? WIP end natin class, 70% complete. Multiply natin, 75 times 60%, 4,500. This is 65,000. This is 1,1. This is 900. 13,000 times 70%, 9,100. Okay, so let's add 4,500 plus, dito, 4,500 plus 65,000 plus 1,1 plus 900 plus 9,1, you get 80,600. EUP as to conversion cost, 80,600. After that, cost per EUP. Okay, very important. Cost per EUP, since FIFO yan, gagamitin na natin yung current cost. Nasaan yung current cost natin? 120,000 for materials. 120, divide natin sa 80,000. How much yung cost per EUP as to materials? 120 divided by 80, 1.5. Okay? Doon naman sa conversion cost, we have current cost natin is 350,000. 350,000 divided by 80,600. 350 divided by 80,600, you have ulit. So 350,000 divided by 80,600, 4.34. Okay? 4.34. Okay. Sige. So 4.34, and then after that, check natin class ang tanong is total cost assigned to goods transferred out. So ito yung tinatanong sa atin, transferred out units. And don't forget, ipapakarry natin yung normal spoilage. Okay, pinapa-charge natin yan. Tama? Pag normal spoilage, i-charge mo yan sa transferred out units. Pag abnormal, hindi, sa loss yan. So walang effect sa atin to. Ngayon, i-check natin yung WIP end. Yung WIP end dyan, wala tayong problema kasi 70% complete. Hindi pa siya na-inspect kasi inspection point natin is 100%. So wala na rin tayong problema dyan. Gagawin ko dyan, yung EUP times cost per EUP, yun yung cost natin. So, lagay ko lang, 65,000 plus 11 times 1.5. Ilan yun? 65,000 plus 11 times 1.5, 99,150. Tama? 99,150 yan. Sa conversion cost naman, sasama mo to. 4,500, kasi 0 to, hindi natin sinama kanina. 4,500 plus 65,000 plus 11 times 4.34, 306, 404. Okay? Huwag mong kalimutan class yung cost ng work in process beginning natin. Kasi yung numerator dito, current cost yan. Pero syempre, kailangan mo pa rin i-consider yung cost sa beginning work in process. Therefore, add natin yung sa materials. Nakita mo dyan yung 10,400. Sa conversion cost, meron tayong 13,800. So, add natin yung apat na amounts na yan. 99,150 plus 306, 404 plus 10,400 plus 13,800, you have 429,754. Under FIFO, 429,754, yung transferred out cost natin. Ngayon, sa second department naman, ang tawag mo dyan, trans-in, transferred in cost. Ano class yung kailangan mo maalala sa trans-in is as if material siya na ina-add sa start of the process. Therefore, lagi itong 100%. Always sa second department, always 100% yung trans-in costs. Okay, doon naman tayo sa weighted average. Tingnan natin side by side. Pag weighted average, binabalik natin yung WIP beginning sa start. Therefore, ang main difference natin is yung transferred out units. Ang gagawin natin dyan is diretso tayo 72,500. 72,500, normal spoilage, 1,100, abnormal spoilage, 900, WIP end natin is 13,000. Okay, so total natin is 87,500. Dito na nagkaiba. Okay, and then, lagay natin yung materials and conversion cost. Materials, conversion cost. So for this one, lahat yan 100%. Okay, kasi sa start and then binalik mo yung WIP beginning, therefore 100% yan. And then, pag in-add mo yan, obviously, 87,500 pa rin yan. So, conversion cost naman, 100%, 100, 100, WIP end natin is 70%. So, this is 72,500, this is 1,100, this is 900, and this is 9,100. 100. Let's compute the EUP as to conversion cost, 72.5 plus 11 plus 900 plus 91, you get 83,600. 83.6. And then gagawin natin class, cost per EUP. Since weighted average yan, ang gagamitin mo is current cost plus work in price, cost and work in price beginning. So add na natin. Sa materials muna tayo, 10.4 plus 120,000, 130,400. Divide natin by 87.5. Cost per EUP natin is 1.49. Doon naman tayo sa conversion cost. Yung beginning, 13.8 plus current cost na 350, 360,800. Divide by 83.6. Makukuha natin dyan class is 4.35. Okay? 4.35. Now, let's compute. Siyempre, ang gagamitin natin dyan yung EUP for transferred out and normal spoilage. Multiply natin sa cost per EUP. 72.5 plus 11 times 1.49. 109,664. Plus natin dun sa conversion cost. So, 7225 plus 11 times 4.35. 72.5 plus 11 times 4.35. 320,160. Add natin yung dalawa na yan. Plus 109,664. 429,824. 429,824. Yan yung transferred out cost natin under weighted average. Take note, hindi na natin inad yung cost ng WIP beginning kasi class na consider na natin yan sa numerator natin. Final answer, letter A for weighted average, 429,824. For FIFO, 429,754. Okay. So ito yung mga kailangan mo tandaan for process costing. Now, discrete yung assumption dito. Well, yun pala yung sinabi dito. Discrete. Okay. Ibig sabihin, inspection point, definite. Okay. At 100%. What if continuous yung nakalagay? Pag continuous, yung inspection point, ang treatment natin dyan, always 0% yung normal spoilage mo. Okay. For abnormal spoilage naman, always 100%. Okay. Ganun tatanda mo. Kasi class, pag ganun, pag 0% yung normal spoilage, yung EUP mo, bababa. Therefore, cost per EUP mo tataas. Okay? Yun naman yung gusto natin sa normal spoilage. Tumaas yung unit cost mo. Alright? Pag abnormal spoilage, 100% yan. Pag continuous, kasi conservative tayo. I-charge mo sa lahat sa loss pag normal spoilage. Pag abnormal spoilage. Also class, pag ang tanong is unit cost, add mo lang yung cost per EUP. Okay? Yun yung unit cost mo. Okay. So I think yun lang lahat sa process costing. Alright. Sige. So that's for process costing. In class, let's go to joint and byproduct costing. Start muna tayo with joint costing. Okay, so yung issue natin for joint costs is how do we allocate joint costs to the main products? Meron tayong 4 ways. Number 1 is physical measure. For example, number of units, pwedeng weight, for example, pounds, kilograms, or length, meters, ganyan. So that's physical measure. Number 2 is sales value at split off. Okay, when you say split off, for example, class, this is 0% and this is 100% of the production. Ito yung 20%. Let's say this is the split of point at 20%, dyan magsiseparate yung mga products. Okay? When you say sales value, it's just number of units times the selling price. Okay? At split of point. Next is NRV at split off is just number of units times the selling price less cost of disposal or cost to sell. Okay? That's your NRV. Alright. Pwede rin approximated or estimated NRV. Yun naman yung NRV at 100%. Okay. So yeah, that's for joint costing. Doon naman tayo sa byproduct. Byproduct is always measured at net realizable value. Always. Okay? Now, tignan mo muna if the byproduct is significant or insignificant. If significant, we recognize at a point of production, journal entry natin, debit byproduct inventory, credit work in process. So, mababawasan yung WIP natin. Okay? Ngayon, pag binenta mo na siya, debit cash, credit, byproduct inventory. Alright? Ganyan na siya. Now, if insignificant, hindi mo siya i-recognize at point of production, i-recognize mo siya at a point of sale. Debit cash, credit, other income. Okay? So, ibang presentation pa, kapag insignificant, pwedeng ibawas mo sa cost of goods sold or yung sales ng main product. Pero, usually, ang ginagamit is other income. Okay? So, yun gagamitin natin for joint cost and byproduct costing. Sige. So, let's go to our handouts. Number 59. Apply natin yan. 59. The allocation of joint costs to individual products is useful primarily for purposes of letter B or boy inventory costing. So yung joint cost na yan is actually your direct materials, direct labor, and overhead. Okay, yun yung work in process natin. So very important yan na i-allocate sa main products for costing purposes. Boy for number 59. Number 60, this method of allocating joint manufacturing costs to the main products or joint products allocate joint costs on the basis of estimated sales value split off of a given product relative to the sales value of total joint production. Ang ibang tawag natin dyan class, yung sales value at split off is market value at split off, letter A for number 60. Okay, number 61. In a joint production process, byproduct is also described as, let's go to letter A, a simultaneously produced product of a relatively small or low value. Okay, low value yan, so yung byproduct. And lagi siya measured at net realizable value. Okay, so let's go to the problem solving, 62 to 65. I-try natin class yung different approaches to allocate joint cost. Let's go to number 62. Okay, company X produces 3 products from the same process and incurs joint processing cost of 60,000. So yun yung i-allocate natin, 60,000. The following information is available for the month. Okay, first question, what amount of the joint processing cost is allocated to the 3 products using the physical measure? Tignan natin yung given. A, B, and C, meron kang gallons, further processing cost, final selling price, okay, selling price at split off, and meron tayong disposal cost. Okay, so madali lang yung physical measure, quantity lang gagamitin natin, which is yung gallons. Lagay ko dito class, A, B, and C. Okay, so for A, meron tayong 25,000. For B, 20,000 gallons. And for C, 5,000. So total nito is 50,000. Ang i-allocate natin na joint cost is 60,000. Tama? So allocate natin yan. 60,000 times 25 over 50, 30,000. Okay, 60,000 times 20 over 50, 24,000. And then 60,000 times 5 over 50, this is 6,000. Okay, ganyan lang kasimple. Letter C, 30,000, 24,000, and 6,000. Okay, very straightforward kapag physical measure. Let's go to number 63. Okay. What amount of joint pricing cost is allocated to the 3 products using the sales value at split off? So number of units times the selling price. Tama? At split off point. So gagawin ko dyan class, A, B, and C. So kay A muna tayo, 25,000 gallons. Multiply ko siya by what is the sales price at split off? 3.6. Nakita niyan? 25,000 times 3.6, you get 90,000. So for A, it's 90. For B, 20,000 times 5, 100,000. And then for C, 5,000 times 2, you have 10,000. Okay, total nito class is 200,000. Tignan natin, allocate natin yung 60,000 na joint cost. 60,000 times 90 over 200, you get 27,000. 60,000 times 100 over 200, this is 30,000. And then 60,000 times 10 over 200, 3,000. Alright. Answer natin class, letter B, 27,000, 30,000, and 3,000. Let's go to number 64. Products A, B, and C. What amount of the joint pricing cost is allocated to the products using the NRV at split off? Okay, so tingnan natin. NRV at split off, dun mo tayo kay A. Ang gagawin ko dyan class, ito ko lalagay ha. NRV at split off, meron tayong ilang units for A. 25,000 times, okay, selling price ni A is at split off 3.6, and then ma-minus ko dun sa disposal. Cost of disposal na 2. Nakita niyo yung 2? Okay. So, ganyan siya. 3.6 minus 2 times 25,000. So, for A, lagay natin 40,000. Let's do the same thing for the 2 products. For B naman, selling price at split off 5 minus yung process or disposal cost na 2.25. Multiply by 20,000, you have 55,000. And then for product C, 2 pesos minus 1 yung split off times 5,000, you have 5,000. 40 plus 55 plus 5, you have 100,000. And then, allocate natin yung 60,000 na joint cost. 60,000 times 40 over 100, 24,000. 60,000 times 55 over 100, 33,000. And 60,000 times 5 over 100, you have 3,000. Answer natin, letter A, 24,000, 33,000, and 3,000. Okay, let's go to number 65. Products A, B, and C. What amount of the joint pricing cost is allocated to the 3 products using the approximated NRV? Dito siya, at 100%. Okay, so gawin natin dito. Pakita ko yung solution. For A, 25,000 units. Multiply ko dun sa final selling price niya, which is 7. I-minus ko yung further processing cost. I-incur mo yun eh. Tama? From this point up to this point, meron kang further processing cost, which is 3. Minus natin yung cost of disposal kasi NRV, which is 1. Okay? So, 7 minus 3 minus 1 times 25,000, you have 75,000 for product A. Let's go to product B. Final selling price na 10 minus yung further processing na 5.75 minus disposal cost na 2 times 20,000 na unit na gallons, 45,000. Okay, and then for product C, final selling price na 8 minus processing cost na 1.5 minus disposal cost na 0.5, multiply natin by 5,000, nakuha ko dito class, 30,000. Okay, 75 plus 45 plus 30,000, 150,000. And then allocate natin class yung 60,000 natin na joint cost. 60,000 times 75 divided by 150, 30,000. Okay, 60,000 times 45 divided by 150, 18,000. And then 60,000 times 30 divided by 150, 12,000. Okay, final answer natin, letter C, 30,000, 18,000, and 12,000. Okay, so ganun lang. That's for the joint cost. Let's go to Number 66, dito naman, byproduct costing naman. Okay, Company X, which began operations in 2025, produces gasoline and a gasoline byproduct. So meron tayong gasoline, which is the main product, and meron tayong byproduct. The following information is available pertaining in 2025 sales and production. Total production cost to split off point. Ang tawag natin dito, yun yung joint cost. Tama, yun yung WIP natin, which is 120,000. Gasoline sales, yun yung sales ng main product. Gasoline inventory or the ending inventory. Byproduct sales, and byproduct cost of disposal. Okay, so sabi ni sir, byproduct daw lagi NRV. Now, the company accounts for the byproduct the time of production. Time of production, ibig sabihin significant yung byproduct. I-record mo siya as asset inventory. What are the company's 2025 cost of sales for gasoline and byproduct? So ganito gagawin mo dyan, class. Doon muna tayo sa, di ba may joint cost tayo na 120,000. Actually, that's your work in process. Okay? And then, tatanggalin natin dyan yung NRV ng byproduct. Tama? Kasi debit byproduct inventory, credit WIP. Bawasan natin yung WIP. Okay, so how much? Tama ba, class, yung NRV of the byproduct? Ito isosolve. Meron kang selling price sales, which is 30,000. And meron kang cost of disposal. How much yung cost of disposal natin? Meron kang 10,000 na marketing, production of 15, 25,000. Therefore, ang NRV of the byproduct is 5,000. Yun yung tatanggalin natin dito. NRV of the byproduct, 5,000. Therefore, yung WIP mo sa main product, or sa main product, sa gasoline, is 115,000. Tama? Kaya lang kasi hindi naman lahat yan nabenta mo. Tama? Meron kang ending inventory. Ending inventory ng gasoline natin, 15,000. So, ibig sabihin, 115 minus 15, 100,000, ito yung cost of sales ng inventory natin. 100,000. Okay? Sa byproduct, meron ka bang cost of sales dyan? Wala. Kasi ang entry mo, pag binenta, debit cash, credit byproduct inventory. Wala kang cost of sales. Okay? Therefore, ang sagot natin is letter D or dog, 100,000 and 0. Okay? So, ganun siya. Sige. So, that's for joint and byproduct costing. Next natin dyan, class. Okay, very easy. Very simple topic lang. JIT, just in time, and backflash costing. Ano yung mga kailangan yung tandaan dyan? Reviewin nyo, class, yung trigger points natin. Pinaka-important yan. Yung, meron tayong 3 trigger points, may 2 trigger points, and 1 trigger point. Kahit anong trigger points, same lang dapat yung maging sagot mo. Okay, same lang yan. Same ending balances yan. Alright? Now, ang common na tinatanong sa board exam, yung 3 trigger points. Ayan, halos yan lumalabas lagi sa board exam. So again, reviewin mo yung journal entry. Huwag natin reviewin ngayon yun kasi medyo marami yun. Maubos yung time natin. Isama mo yun sa aralin mo. Okay? Reviewin lang yung journal entry, especially the 3 trigger points. Pero class, kaya natin sagutan yung mga problems sa JIT and backflash costing using T accounts. Okay? Meron tayong RIP or pinagsamang raw materials and in process. Okay? RIP and finished goods account. Yun lang yung ginagawa natin. So as you remember, yung discussion, yung lesson natin for JIT and backflash, pinakita ko yung entries, pero pinakita ko din na kahit journal, kahit T accounts lang, kaya natin isolve yan. Okay? Sige. Let's go to our handouts. Number, saan tayo? 67. Okay, 67. It is an inventory strategy. A company employs to increase efficiency and decrease waste by receiving and producing goods as they are needed. Magpo-produce ka lang pag may order. Okay? Just-in-time inventory system, letter A for 67. Using JIT and backflash costing, what costing method is ideally employed? Actually, class, ang ginagamit natin dito is standard costing. Meron tayong standard cost sa materials, labor, and overhead. Okay, ganun siya. So, ayan, letter C, standard costing, ginagamit natin for JIT and backflash. Alright, let's go to numbers 69 and 70. Company X uses a raw in-process inventory account. So, gamit na tayo ng T account agad dyan. So, for 69 and 70, ang gagawin natin, T account na tayo ng RIP. Okay? And then, expense all conversion costs to the cost of goods sold account. At the end of each month, all inventories are counted, their conversion cost components are estimated, inventory account balances are adjusted accordingly. Raw material cost is backflashed from RIP to finished goods. Okay, so FG. The following information is for May. Raw and in process, May 1, 38,700. Lagay natin yung beginning balance. Raw and in process, May 31, 41,900. That's your ending balance. Raw materials purchased, 680. Dito siya. Okay, solve for X, 38,700 plus 680 minus 41,900, you get 676,800. 676,800, pupunta siya sa finished goods natin. Okay, lagay natin yung beginning balance of finished goods. Nasaan yun? 12,000. Beginning, ending natin is 10,000. Okay, ang tanong dyan, class, how much daw yung backflash from RIP to cost of goods sold? So ito yung tanong sa atin. Solve for X tayo, 12,000 plus 676,800 minus 10,000. Answer natin, 678,800. Okay, answer natin, class, for number 69 is letter C, 678,800. For number 70, what is the amount of conversion cost to be backflashed to cost of goods sold? Tandaan mo, class, kapag JIT and backflash, ginagamit natin is CC applied. Okay? Di ba, meron tayo kanina sa job order costing, OH applied. Pag backflash, meron ka ng estimate, okay, may standard cost ka para sa labor and overhead. CC ginagamit natin. CC applied, so ibig sabihin, pipili lang tayo. CC incurred or CC allocated. Okay, so again, CC applied or CC allocated, answer natin is 5,300. Letter, boy. Alright, so that's for JIT. Okay, so proceed na tayo class sa next topic natin. Sige, so let's let's discuss joint arrangement naman tayo. Okay, joint arrangement. Pinaka-important na concept for joint arrangement is the concept of joint control. Lahat ng parties in a joint arrangement, dapat meron silang joint control. Okay, sir, ano ba ibig sabihin ng joint control? Meron tayong 3 elements, dapat present lahat to. Okay, before ka karoon ng joint control. Number 1, contractual arrangement, okay, or agreement. Ibig sabihin, merong written contract, yung parties, okay, meron silang joint control. Number 2 is, meron silang sharing of control. And then last one is unanimous consent. So mga major decisions, okay, of the joint arrangement, dapat lahat sila mag-consent before sila mag-decide. Again, 3 elements, contractual arrangement, agreement or contractual arrangement, sharing of control, and unanimous consent before ka mag-apply ng AFAR 11 or accounting for joint arrangement. Alright, now, meron tayong 2 types of joint arrangement. Number 1 is joint venture, and number 2 is joint operation. Anong difference, sir? Pag joint venture, yung joint venturers, meron silang right to the net assets. Okay? Net assets of the joint venture. Okay? For joint operation naman, meron silang right to assets and liabilities. Okay? So, yun yung difference nila. Pag joint venture, net assets. Pag joint operation, right to net assets and liabilities. Now, erase ko muna to. Kapag joint venture, ang i-apply natin class is equity method. Okay? Kapag joint operation, ang i-apply natin dyan, actually, wala tayong usually separate na books dito. Pwede mo i-record sa sarili mong books. We recognize the proportionate share, PS na lang, recognize proportionate share of assets, liabilities, revenues, expenses in its own financial statements. So sa sariling FS ng joint operators, i-recognize yung proportionate share of assets, liabilities, revenues, expenses of the joint operation. Okay? Now, tignan mo class, very important yung structure of the joint arrangement. If merong separate vehicle, pwedeng joint venture, pwedeng joint operation. Okay? But if the problem is silent, assume mo na joint venture yan pag may separate vehicle. Okay? Now, pag walang separate vehicle, automatic joint operation yan. Got it? Ibig sabihin, pag joint operation yun, ito yung accounting treatment natin. Recognize proportionate share. Now, paano naman kapag SME na joint venture? Okay? Tatlo yung methods natin na pwedeng gamitin. Cost method, we have fair value method, or yung sa IFRS 9, FVPL, or equity method. Okay? So, 3 methods yung allowed sa atin kapag SME. Okay? Na joint venture. Sige, so let's apply that to our exercises. Let's go to number 71. It is characterized by a contractual arrangement whereby 2 or more parties have joint control of the arrangement. Okay? We call it joint arrangement, letter A. Number 72. Which of the following is a characteristic of a joint arrangement? A. The parties are bound by a contractual arrangement. B. The contractual arrangement gives 2 or more parties joint control. Actually, best answer dito is letter C. The parties are bound by a contractual arrangement, and the contractual arrangement gives 2 or more parties joint control over the arrangement. Letter C for number 72. Number 73. It is a type of joint arrangement whereby the parties that have joint control have right to the total assets and obligations. Ang tawag natin dyan class is joint operation. Okay, letter C. Assets and liabilities. Number 74. It is a type of joint arrangement whereby the parties that have joint control over the arrangement have rights to the net assets. Pag net assets sa mga class, joint venture, letter D or dog. Okay, let's go to our problems. Actually, ni-recycle ko yung problems na to sa handouts natin ito. Kasi class, ito yung magandang problem talaga for joint arrangement kasi sa standards mismo to. Okay? So, re-answer lang natin. Sige. Entity A and Entity B incorporated Entity C. So, merong separate vehicle. Tama? Ibig sabihin, pwede siyang joint venture, pwede joint operation. Na-analyze mo yung problem. To manufacture a microchip to be used by the incorporating entities as component of their final product. The contractual agreement of the incorporating entities provided that the decisions on relevant activities of Entity C will require the unanimous consent. Ibig sabihin, present yung joint control. Pwede natin i-apply yung IFRS 11. Entity A and Entity B have rights to the net assets and obligations for the liabilities. Ibig sabihin, automatic joint operation yan. Relating to the arrangement. The ordinary shares of Entity C will be owned by Entity A and B in the ratio of 60-40. So, underline mo yun. At the end of first operation of Entity, the financial statements provided the following data. Okay. So, nag-provide ng FS, or in this case, yes, FS, si Entity C, yung separate vehicle natin. Okay, the contractual agreement of Entity A and B also provided the following concerning the assets and liabilities. Si Entity A owns the land and incurs the loan payable. Okay, si A yun. I-recognize na yun sa books niya. Tama? Sa FS na A. Si B naman owns the building and incurs the note payable. The other assets and liabilities are owned or owed by Entity A and B on the basis of their legal interest. Ano yung legal or capital interest nila dito? Ang capital interest is 60-40. Okay? The sales revenue of Entity C includes sales to A and B in the amount of 1 million, 2 million. As of the end of the first year, Entity A and B were able to resell 30% and 60% of the inventory coming from Entity C to third persons. Tatanggalin mo yung intercompany sales. Okay? Sige, so let's answer this. Let's go to number 75. Okay, what is the amount of total assets to be reported by Entity A? I-report to ni Entity A sa sarili niyang FS. Okay? Ano yung kay Entity A dito? Sabi sa first bullet, Entity A owns land. So yung land na 3 million, kay A yan. Okay? And then, ano pa yung kay A? Well, assets yung tanong, no? Sa inventory, sabi dyan sa third bullet, yung ibang assets daw, 60-40 silang dalawa. So 60% for A, 60% of 1 million is 600,000. 3 million plus 600,000, answer natin class, 3.6 million, letter C. Okay? So sa FS ni A, meron siyang land. Okay, sa FS ni A, ganito makikita mo dyan, sa balance sheet niya. Land, JO. Okay, Entity C, inventory, JO, Entity C. Okay, 3,600,000. Ganito makikita mo dyan. Okay? Now, let's go to number 76. What is the amount of liabilities of Entity B? Okay, so sabi sa second bullet, si B, sa kanya daw yung notes payable. Tama? Notes payable, na-given sa atin, 1 million. And then yung ibang liabilities, accounts payable, 60-40 sila dyan. So 2 million times 40% yung kay B, that's 800,000. Answer natin dito class, 1.8 million, letter A. Number 77. What is the amount of sales revenue to be reported by Entity A concerning its interest in Entity C? Tignan natin class, yung last bullet, sabi dyan, yung sales revenue of A, sales revenue of C pala, sorry. Sales revenue of C is how much? Tama ba? Nandun sa given sa atin. Sa financial statement, sa middle portion. Sa last item, sales revenue, 5 million. Yan yung report ng Entity C. 5 million. And then, sabi dyan, sa last bullet, the sales revenue, okay, includes sales to Entity A and Entity B. So, ibig sabihin, tanggalin natin yung mga hindi pa nabebenta outside. Okay? Pag nabenta na outside, pwede na i-recognize sa sales yun eh. So, yung unearned sales of A, how much yun? Basically, merong 1 million dyan, and then, yung 30% na benta na, okay? So, yung 70% hindi pa yan nabibenta. Tanggalin natin yan, 700,000. Okay? And then, yung unearned sales of B, which is 2 million, multiply natin by, nabenta na yung 60%, multiply natin by 40%, yun yung unearned natin, we have 800,000. 5 million minus 700,000, minus 800,000, answer natin class, 3.5 million. Pero, ang tanong dito is si A, tama? Ilang percent yung ownership ni A dito? 60%. 3.5 million times 60%. Final answer, 2.1 million. Letter, boy. Yun. Letter boy. Let's go to number 78. On January 1, 2025, ABC entered into a joint arrangement classified as joint venture. Ito, very clear agad na joint venture siya. Alam natin, pag joint venture, equity method yung gagamitin natin. Okay? So, pag ganyan class, pwede tayong mag-T account na lang. Investment in joint venture, tignan natin. For an investment of 2 million, so lagyan natin, beginning balance 2 million, ABC obtained 30% interest in XYZ. During the year, XYZ joint venture reported profit of 4 million. 4 million times 30%, syempre increase yan. Share in the net income of the joint venture, di ba, nag-i-increase yun. Tama, under equity method. And then, don't forget class, kahit yung OCI, i-reflect mo yan. Okay, so OCI dito is 800,000 times 30%, kasama yan, debit, 240,000. So yung 1.2 million is share in net income, 240,000 is share in other comprehensive income. May dividends ba dito? Yes. Declare dividends of 2.4 million. 2.4 million times 30%, 720,000. We know kapag equity method, magdi-decrease yan sa investment. Let's compute for the ending balance, 2 million plus 1.2 million plus 240,000 minus 720,000. Final answer, letter A, 720,000. For number 78, final answer natin is letter A. Class, let's discuss Forex and derivatives. Doon muna tayo sa Forex. So yung issue natin dito is, how do we convert foreign exchange transactions? So depende yan. If yung conversion natin is foreign to functional, gagamitin natin is temporal method. If functional to presentation, we will use the closing or current rate method. Doon muna tayo sa temporal method. Important dito is classification, if it's monetary or non-monetary. Basta monetary, closing rate tayo. When you say closing rate, that's the December 31 exchange rate. Okay? Pag non-monetary, historical or yung date of transaction. For example, equipment, non-monetary yun. Okay, yung equipment. Yung ibig sabihin ng historical or date of transaction kung kailan mo binili yung equipment na yan. Alright? Now, for income statement items, meron tayong hierarchy. Historical or date of transaction, kung kailan nangyari yung sales or yung expense. Ngayon, for practicality, pwede natin gamitin yung average. Alright, let's go to closing or current rate method. Kaya tinawag na closing because all assets and liabilities, ita-translate natin siya using the closing rate. Okay? Hindi mag-matter if monetary or non-monetary. CS APIC, historical, kung kailan in-issue yung shares. Pag retained earnings, i-breakdown natin. Net income, average tayo. Pag dividends, kung kailan dineclare yung dividends, or historical rate. Income statement items, we can use the average rates. Okay, so ito yung summary natin for temporal method and closing or current rate method. Lahat ng changes in foreign exchange rate, okay? Under temporal method, ipepresent natin yan sa P&L. For functional to presentation, okay, this one is translation. Lahat naman ng changes, lalagay natin sa other comprehensive income. We call it FCTA or the foreign currency translation adjustment. Alright. Sige, dito naman tayo sa derivatives. Ang basic concepts lang. Forwards, futures, option, and swap. Pag sinabing forwards and futures, these are obligations. Okay? Required kayo perform either to buy or to sell. Pag sinabing option, kaya siya tinawag na option because meron kang right. Pero in exchange for that right, you have to pay for an option premium. Okay? Dahil magbabayad ka ng option premium, sa start pa lang, meron ka ng journal entry. Unlike sa forwards and futures, wala kang journal entry at the start. Okay? Now, pag sinabi namang swap, pwede siyang fixed to floating or floating to fixed. Okay? Meron tayong exchange of cash flows. Okay, so later, sasagutin natin yung forwards kasi same lang naman yung gagawin natin for forwards and futures and option. Yan lang naman usually lumalabas in the board exam. Okay? Now, tingnan natin class. Meron tayong tinatawag na hedge accounting. Okay? Pwede siyang fair value hedge and cash flow hedge. For fair value hedge, we know na lahat ng hedge items and hedging instruments, ang ibang tawag pala class sa derivatives is hedging instruments. Okay? Lahat ng changes in fair value, isi-charge natin to P&L. Pag naman cash flow hedge, isi-charge natin sa other comprehensive income. Okay. Sige. So, try natin class yung handouts natin. Let's go to number 79. Under PAS 21, ito yung standards natin for Forex. Which of the following pertains to functional currency? A yung sagot natin. It refers to the currency of the primary economic environment in which the entity operates. So, basically, yung dominant currency. That's your functional currency. Letter A for number 79. Let's go to number 80. When a foreign currency transaction occurred in one period and settlement in another period, okay, parang ganito. Nangyari dyan, this is December 31. Okay? Dito yung settlement. Dito yung date of transaction. Tingnan natin. Letter A, the exchange difference between transaction date and date of settlement, okay, is recognized in the period of settlement. Actually, mali yun. Dapat between yung settlement and December 31 and then December 31 and yung settlement. Okay, sorry, yung date of transaction and December 31 and then December 31 and settlement. Yun yung kukomputa natin. Okay. Letter B, exchange differences between the transaction date and the end of reporting is recognized. Letter C, exchange difference between the end of the previous reporting period and date of settlement is recognized. Best answer, letter D, B, and C. Dog yung sagot natin. Okay, again, compute tayo ng gain or loss dito, and then compute ulit tayo ng gain or loss. Letter dog. Let's go to number 81. When translating the FS, which of the following is inappropriate? Apply natin to. Okay, ito yung translation, pag functional to presentation. A, assets, liabilities, equity, including any goodwill and the fair values are translated at the closing rate. Okay, letter B, income and expenses are translated at the spot exchange rates. For practical reasons, income and expenses will be translated at the average rate. Okay, so yung A, actually class, translated at closing rate, yung mali dyan yung equity. Okay, kasi yung equity, hindi siya tinatranslate at closing rate. Historical siya. Okay, historical yan. So, sagot natin sa 81. Actually, dalawa sagot sa 81, no? It's A and, tingnan natin, inappropriate daw, no? Income and expenses are translated as spot exchange rates. For practicality reasons, income and expenses may be translated at the average rate. That's correct. C, all exchange differences shall be recognized in P&L. Actually, sa answer key ko, C, yung sagot talaga, no? Pero mali din yung A because nung sa equity. Pero pag na-encounter mo yung class, ang isagot mo is letter C. Because kapag translation, all exchange differences shall be recognized in OCI. Okay, yung FCTA sa OCI yan. Sige, let's go. So for number 81, letter C, yung nasa answer key ko. Pero I think mali din yung A dito. Okay, let's go to number 82. Which of the following is not considered a derivative instrument? Futures, yes. Option, yes. Forward, yes. Lease contract, no. Dog for number 82. Number 83, a critical characteristic of a derivative is that the instrument, let's go to letter B or boy, derives its value from changes in the value of a related asset or liability. Ang term natin doon is underlying. Okay? Yung underlying, pwede siyang stock price, Pwede interest rate, commodity price, and so on and so forth. Boy for number 83. Number 84, in case of hedging transaction designated as fair value hedge, which of the following is correct? The gain or loss from remeasuring the hedging instrument, derivative designated as fair value hedge, shall be recognized in P&L. That's correct. Letter B, the gain or loss and the changes in the fair value of hedge item attributable to hedge risk shall adjust the carrying amount and be recognized in P&L. That's correct. Okay, both the hedge item and hedging instrument, mark to market mo siya, charge mo sa P&L. Letter C. Number 85, gain or loss arising from the changes in the fair value of derivatives designated as cash flow hedge. Okay? Pertaining to the effective portion. Yung effective portion, pupunta sa OCI. Okay? Kaya